Well, good morning. Good morning. Let me see. Turn it this way. Would the sun interfere? That was like my worry was that the sun was going to interfere with it. Oh, it does. It does. Oh, that sucks. Sort of. Sort of sucks. Anyways, um, yeah, interesting topic conversation. So weird how the camera on the Pixelbook Go works. Anyways, I'm just like I decided to do the live stream outside today and chill in the backyard and just kind of go over um, this whole thing. Yeah, so I'll give a shout out to John for posting this to me to Instagram. I kind of wanted to go over the multiple vulnerabilities that was found in Samsung Exynos modems. Pixel phones greatly affected. So I'm going to kind of touch base with that and then just kind of go over what Project Zero is. Because I know that there's going to be people that's concerned, about this vulnerability, just because the vulnerability with the Exynos modems allows people to basically remote access people's devices and be able to control it going through the modem, right? Going through the baseband of the device, right? And right now, what's up, guys? Welcome in. What's named is both Pixel 7, Pixel 6, Pixel 6a. Um, and one of the devices that I also use, the Galaxy A53, is named as a vulnerable device for this. Now, first of all, a lot of stuff is going to be coming up over the next couple of months about vulnerabilities, hacks, and stuff like that. That just seems to be like a very hot topic in the tech space. That also seems to be like, what is frequently happening, right? Digital warfare and everything like that. Um, no, I just have my hair pulled back, so it's not hanging down. I usually leave it down, but today I have it pulled back. Now it's getting longer to pull it back in the tail, so I've just been doing that lately. If I start to look dark, it's just because like my Pixelbook's camera is very weird with the sunlight, and like certain ways it'll just get really dark, and then I have to like put my hand over the camera to make it kind of light up. So I apologize ahead if that happens. Um, but yeah, we're gonna talk about this, right? Lately I've been doing coverage on the whole Boost Infinite attack and everything like that. That's kind of like starting to die down a little bit. Um, just because they got their systems recovered. There's not really much to talk about anymore on that people need to be aware of. So yeah. But if you have questions about it, feel free to ask it, in the comments, and I'll answer it anyways. Um, just to yeah. All right. First things first, before I go over this whole thing, I want people to understand what Project Zero is. Okay. Project Zero is a collective group of members that pretty much like tests the vulnerabilities of smartphones, etc. Right? So they find what needs to be patched in security patches that's handed out to these devices. Right? They're not, a group of cyber attackers and ransomware folks like Black Basta and several other groups that you can find on the dark web. Project Zero, that's what their job is. Their job is to find vulnerabilities in things, vulnerabilities in software, vulnerabilities in hardware. Um, that's what their job is. So I want to make that very clear before people start panicking and talking about, Project Zero hacked into Pixel phones through the modem from Exynos. Like, they did, but not like they didn't do it to people. They didn't do it to people. Hold on, let me just turn this way. I think the light just kind of like was like better. Semi sort of. But anyways, um they didn't target the public's phones, right? Like obviously they targeted their own devices to be able to pull this off, to be able to know what these vulnerabilities are. So um Was it? This article was published from Droid Life not that long ago, so I'm gonna kind of go into that. But it says yesterday, Google's Project Zero. So this is how you know that it's not like a dark web group that's going after people's phones. Project Zero is Google's team that looks for vulnerabilities. But yesterday, Google's Project Zero detailed multiple in a total of 18 internet to baseband remote code execution vulnerabilities in Samsung-made Exynos modems. These modems can be found in devices such as the Pixel 6 series, the Pixel 7 series, the Galaxy S22 series, and plenty more. In layman's, for those of us who are not security experts, the most critical of the vulnerabilities would allow skilled attackers to create. Oh, look, there's like a little spider. It's like a little red spider on my laptop. Sorry, he caught my attention. I'm blow him away. He's trying to get into the keyboard buttons. I don't want him in there. Light up, light up, light up. Sorry. I'm so sorry. That chat's probably, live stream's probably better if I was indoor, but I decided to come outside. It don't matter if you guys see me. You guys can hear me though. Okay, so again. No, I'm outside and I guess because it's coming on spring, right? And so just above me, a little red baby spider was coming down on its web and landed on my Pixel book and was like crawling around on it. When I was reading, I could kind of see him from my peripheral vision, and I was just like, oh, he's trying to get into the keyboard buttons. That's not good. I don't want him in there. He'll die. So kind of just blew him away. He's okay. Anyways, like it's saying in layman's, for those of us who are not security experts, the most critical of the vulnerabilities would allow skilled attackers to create an exploit and compromise an affected phone simply by knowing a victim's phone number. 4 of the discovered vulnerabilities are so bad that Project Zero even made a policy exception with regard to its disclosure process. It's that bad, apparently. All right, so here are the mobile devices from Samsung, including those that are affected. So we're talking about the Galaxy S22, the Galaxy M33, M13, M12, A71, A53, A33, A21s, A13, A12, and A04 series. Mobile devices from Vivo, including those in the S16, S15, S15, S6, X70, X60, and X30 series. The Pixel and Pixel 7 series of devices from Google are to be affected. Any vehicles that uses the Exynos Auto T5123 chipset. So we've established there is an issue. The promising news is the people who need to know and begin correcting these issues are aware, and fixes are already on the way. For example, the March security patch for Pixel phones contains a fix for one of the vulnerabilities. In the meantime, Google's Project Zero recommends that you avoid using Wi-Fi calling or VoLTE by physically going into your device's settings and disabling them. So, until security updates are available, users who wish to protect themselves from the baseband remote code execution vulnerability in Samsung Exynos chipsets can turn off Wi-Fi calling and voice over LTE in their device settings. Turning off these settings will remove the exploitation risk of the vulnerabilities. So there you have it. So in a nutshell, there's a vulnerability that uses the baseband in the modems from Exynos chips that allow attackers to basically remote access. I think the sun is really. Hold on, I'm trying to move away from this. Trying to move away from the sun. The sun is gleaming down, so it's really trying to. I don't know. I'm trying to get the best view here. Anyways, whatever. So if I keep moving, it keeps going darker and lighter, darker and lighter. This was probably a bad idea to stream outside. Anyways, I was just kind of looking to see if I should just move to a different spot. I probably will. I have the laptop on a charger, but it's got a decent amount of charge to last for this live stream. So I'm probably just going to take my bottle of water and my laptop and just kind of go to a different spot. Hang on. Because I know that this whole thing is just really gonna start annoying me if I don't move. If I don't move from my spot. Let's see. I don't know if that would be a little better. Hang tight, guys. This was not planned right. But oh well. If I put the laptop down here, would it be better? The storm just kind of like all these chairs weird. Probably not. Maybe not that way, but maybe that way. I don't know. You guys tell me if it seems better or not. What changes did it make to the YouTube app? Like specifically, what do you mean? And what phone are you using? Let me try something real quick. Holy crap. I'm by the fire pit, so I don't want to hit it. Anyways, so to really kind of explain this, so there's a vulnerability in the Exynos chips, right? Pertaining to the modem of the chip. And it allows attackers to remote access your device, right? Obviously, like it states, it needs a phone number in order to be able to do that, which I guess is the reason why they're saying to turn off Wi-Fi calling and to turn off VoLTE for the meantime. But yeah. Let's see. The Motorola Moto G Pure. What changes to YouTube did it make? Like, also let me know if like the live stream's starting to break up because I am further away from the Wi-Fi modem, so I just But anyways, so yeah, their suggestion is turn off Wi-Fi calling, turn off voice over LTE, and that should protect you from the main vulnerability, which gives access through the baseband and the modem. So there is something temporarily in place. As far for an update, I guess the recent March security patch we got for Google Pixels, those have been basically protected on that one vulnerability, which was the most threatening one. The other ones will get patched, so we might see like, dang it, we might see another security update coming here soon with Google Pixels. Maybe in like the coming week, we may see another one. Just because they're gonna patch these vulnerabilities. Now going into that whole, this is why I don't like Samsung stuff or whatever, like, that's pointless. People are going to like what they like. In my way of thinking today, I don't care about brands to that degree, right? So I'm not going to sit there and say, this is why you shouldn't get Samsung. I'm not going to use that. I think that's just probably one of the most immature things to do, especially when you're a content creator talking about tech, to just sit down and just run down a company because you don't like them. And you think you got brownie points and bullets, to put in a clip, pop in a chamber and fire off rounds. Like that's just not my style of doing things. I don't know. But I feel like, this is not that gigantically bad of a situation, right? Project Zero was able to find this exploit, and that I'm grateful for. We just have to wait for for the Pixel side, we have to wait for them to release another, security patch, which will, patch that and rectify that situation. In the meantime, if you're worried about the vulnerabilities, if you're worried that someone is going to remote attack your device and gain control over your device remotely through the modem of any of those devices that I mentioned, then just turn off Wi-Fi calling and voice over LTE, and you'll be fine. Um, Now, for those people that's going to jump up and be like, I got to turn off voice over LTE, so my call quality is going to be jacked. Well, let's be real. How many people are making phone calls nowadays? Not very often, right? Those people that mostly make phone calls are like work-based phone calls or calling the wife, calling the kids to check on them. But you're not like hours on the call where the quality of the call itself is going to like superly impact you. I just think that people look at these things as like, oh, I'm gonna go and bitch about this, and they want to go and bitch about it. And I just think that it's ridiculous to do that. But let's just say exactly and chalk it up to exactly what it is. That there's a vulnerability. It's based with Samsung. It's based with their Exynos chips, and it's through the modem, and it allows remote attackers to use the baseband to get into your phone and remotely control it. They have to have your phone number in order to be able to do that. And that's the reason why they're wanting Wi-Fi calling down and they're wanting voice over LTE down. Obviously, those make a play in how these attackers could possibly get your phone number to be able to remote access your device. So just do that. Let's see. In the list of channels on the right side of the channel name is a bell instead of a blue dot or red letters that say live. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know if that's like specifically pertaining to Motorola itself, or it could be something that YouTube itself is doing. Usually, for me, when there's a change to YouTube, it's YouTube that's making that change, and we got to remember that like YouTube has a new CEO now. So and this guy, he understands marketing because that's what he was doing before he moved up to the role of CEO of YouTube. He was head of marketing. So obviously, when it comes to YouTube, it's really going to kick into high gear as far as like content creators and advertisement and how that works, because he has an innate understanding for it. Would a call be routed through 3G if VoLT is turned off? It would be routed through cellular. So originally what we were using before we started actually using data connections to route our calls to have a more high def sound and clear sounding quality type of audio calls, it'll just go to cellular for now. But pixels, I don't think you need to do that because as it's stated in the article, that has already been patched with the March security patch that we got. So that one has been patched. There are 18 other vulnerabilities because of the Exynos. They didn't go into detail what those vulnerabilities are. And if I find what those specific vulnerabilities are, I'll make like a shorts, or I'll make like a short 3-minute video, and I'll just outline the list of vulnerabilities. I'm sure they're gonna have it because this is something that just recently came out. I mean, Droid Life just posted their article 57 minutes ago. So yeah. Can't turn off VoLT on Verizon. You have to turn off the entire SIM. Well, so the main vulnerability that allows attackers to use the baseband and the modem of the Exynos chip to remote access, that's been patched on Pixels. So that's what Droid Life had already reported on that from Project Zero. Yeah, remember, Project Zero is a Google team. So once they found this exploit and they knew that Pixel 6 and Pixel 7 and Pixel 6a was going to be vulnerable to this, they had already given it to the Pixel team. So that has since been patched with the latest security patch update. If you haven't gotten that security patch update, go ahead and do that. It has the latest Pixel drop, but it also has that vulnerability patch. Now, the other 18, those are vulnerabilities that Project Zero does not deem it to be like super critical, but that one that just got patched, that does. Now, my Galaxy A53 is vulnerable. I don't have voice over LTE on, and I don't have Wi-Fi calling on. I just have to wait for Samsung to put it out. Considering carriers are killing. Wait, hold on. Sorry, the sun glare just messes with my screen. Considering carriers are killing or have killed 2G and 3G, it may be impossible to call without VoLTE unless it is routed to 1G. Most of them have, I guess you can say, because I can still connect to 2G here in my city. So I guess it depends on area, right? I have the Android 13 beta version. I haven't gotten an update. You might want to check because like my Pixel 7 had gotten that software update. I would say about 4 days ago, roughly about. It was Monday that I updated it, and my Pixel 6 got the update on Wednesday. So the Pixel 6 had gotten it like a day or two apart from its availability, because the same day that I updated my Pixel 7, like any device that I know that is still being supported by Google software security patches, once the security patch is out, I power up all of them, connect them to my home Wi-Fi, and just start updating them about a few hours after. So like I wait to see what people say online about the security patch update, if it breaks any features or any of the settings. That way I'm not putting my phone in that type of issue, even though I hardly, and I gotta say, I'm probably one of the luckiest Pixel owners, because Pixel devices that come out that people say theirs overheats, theirs has bug issues, and I don't experience those bugs, and I'm happy. I don't want to jinx myself, and I buy the Pixel 8, and that happens to be buggy as hell, but I don't get those issues. So but yeah, I wait like a couple of hours just to see if anyone's reported any major issues with the security patch update, and if they do, then I hold on updating. But if there's not anyone coming up saying, hey, the latest security patch update broke my Wi-Fi or broke Bluetooth connection, or audio is not working, or this is not working, if no one reports that within like 4 or 5 hours, then I will go ahead and power up all the devices that I have that are going to get the update, and I just begin updating them. And I start off with ones that I don't use as daily drivers, just to see if it does break any issues, so I can report it to people. So I'll start off with like my Pixel 5, my Pixel 5a. Well, actually not my 5a anymore. My 5a is actually done. It's kaput, but I'm gonna talk in the video about that later. I'm also dropping a video about the Nexus 4, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I'll update my devices and get them all up to date. Mine says December 5th, 2022 update. I might have to contact Google or something. I primarily use an iPhone for calls and texts, so I'm good for now. Taking the SIM out until I can get an update to the Pixel. Yeah, I mean, you can contact Google. It's not really gonna make a change, because you contact Google saying you didn't get the security patch update, they're not gonna just go and like force push it to you. Now, you don't even have to wait for an OTA. If you want and you're skilled and you know what you're doing, you can actually use a laptop, like you use a Windows laptop, and there's a Google Flash tool. You can actually download the security patch update from Google itself and then just sideload it onto your device if you want. You don't have to wait for OTAs. As long as it's out for your device, just make sure you flash the correct one. Don't flash one that's for the Pixel 7 or for the Pixel 6. Just because it's a Pixel 6 doesn't mean that it was specifically made for the Pixel 6a. So wait until, like, look and see if they have it. If it says Pixel 6a and it gives you that file to download that you can sideload it, then sideload it. You don't have to wait for an OTA. I feel weird. Shout out to Max Lee, because Max Lee used to do these types of live streams on Twitter. He'll just sit in his backyard and just do a live stream. And I kind of feel like that right now. So this is what Max Lee felt like when he came on and he just did live stream and started talking to everybody. Oh, that felt better. I had to pop my neck. I was going to make me coffee before I started doing this, but I was like, I'll just jump on live. Get some of these Let's see. My condolences for your dead Pixel. Well, Pixel 5a. The Pixel 5 is fine, but the 5a doesn't power on anymore. Like I haven't. So like I literally thought like I just had to keep it on the charger for a couple of hours because I hadn't charged it in like 2 months, and so I put it on the charger, and I noticed that like usually it would take like maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, and then it would start showing the battery indicator, meaning that it's taking in a charge. And so when I had it on there for like 5 minutes, I looked and I noticed that there was no indicator showing that it was charging. And I was like, "What the hell?" So I took it off the charger and I held down the power button. You feel a slight vibration, but nothing happens on the screen. And I was just like, "What the heck?" So I plugged it back into the charger and I felt it kind of like vibrate, indicating that the charger was connected. So I was like, "Okay." And I waited, nothing. And I held on the power button to see if I can turn it on while I was connected to the charger, and still nothing. Just that little vibrate and nothing. And I was like, okay, I inspected the screen, no damage to the screen, nothing like that. Couldn't have been damaged because the last time when I was using it, like my dumbass forgot to power it off. I left it on, but I put it in my drawer with all my other phones, and it just sat in there for 2 months. So I don't know exactly what happened. I know it didn't take a software update because it was not connected to Wi-Fi, and it didn't have a SIM card in it. But I brought it out because I actually was going to re-sign up for Google Fi and kind of just like, go over, Google Fi service as of spring 2023 without the US cellular connection. But then, yeah, it's a no-go. So I'm probably going to look around for a Pixel 5a and a Pixel 6a. But my dad has a Pixel 6a and he's enjoying it. I'm going to look for, a Pixel 6a and a 5a. And then possibly get the Pixel 7a towards the end of summer and the Pixel 8 when it drops. This will probably be my first year where I pre-order a new Pixel device. I'm making sure I have the money to buy it the day of the announcement and when pre-orders go live. But I'm also afraid of the pre-order batches because it seems like a lot of people report bug issues, or the ones that do the pre-order after the event for the Made by Google event. They seem to be the one that taking to Twitter saying that there's overheating issues, camera issues, glitch issues, jank, and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, yeah. So maybe I won't pre-order it. Maybe I'll just go to Best Buy and buy one, like when it's available. But yeah, that is my plan for this year and everything like that. Obviously, coming close to working at Boost Infinite, so I'm really excited for that. Um, Once I get in that call center and I just kind of like see. And like I said, like I'll give you guys info about Boost Infinite that I'm able to. If it's anything that's considered, proprietary information that's not to be outside the call center, then know that I'm not going to drop that information. Let's see, Carlos phones love to overheat inside the casinos or during a live stream. I mean, I've done live streams of my Pixels, and it's like when the live stream starts to go beyond 40 minutes to 50 minutes is when I can feel that my Pixels get warm. I wouldn't say that they're hot because I can still hold them in hand without a case. I know it's uncomfortable, but you can feel that the processor is being worked, and that's a given. Um, as far as like what Carlos goes through, like I can't speak to his experiences because I'm not there with him. Like I'm not there to say let me touch your phone and see how hot it is or anything like that, right? You just gotta take it for what he says, and people's experiences are not going to be exactly the same, right? This is something that we know, and it's not just with Pixels; it's with iPhones and Samsung Galaxy phones as well. Like one person's struggles and frustrations is not felt across everybody else's. So that's just how it is. I mean, quality control today with these companies is not entirely like 100%. So there are phones that, are inspected and approved that, could have issues and are sent out and they're defective. And then a customer is going to land with that phone from their purchase. It's just what it is. I don't think Carlos pre-orders any of his phones. I think what happens is like say when a new iPhone comes out or the new Google Pixels come out or Samsung comes out, like after the event is done, like everyone's pre-ordering. I don't think Carlos pre-orders his phones. I think what he does is that the date that it's available in store to purchase is the day that he goes and he just drops, hundreds of dollars on these devices. Um, that's what he does. And like, let me take that back. He drops thousands of dollars on these devices because he doesn't just buy one. Like he won't buy just one, um, you know, iPhone 14. Like he'll buy every model of it, and he'll probably buy double of the same models because he'll have like an iPhone 14 Pro, and then on T-Mobile, and another iPhone 14 Pro on Verizon. And that way he doesn't have to do a lot of SIM swapping. You know, like Carlos drops a hell of a lot of money. But he can, right? I mean, he's a successful man. He has that money to burn. Then that's him, right? I can't do that. I can't drop thousands of dollars on that. I got kids to take care of. My wife would kill me if I like came home and said, "Hey, honey, I just spent about $3,000 on some new phones," and held up a bag. Oh man, the moment that I do that, and Tito would be added to the Google graveyard because she would kill me if I dropped that kind of money. Yeah, but you know what? He has the money to do it. You know, not trying to give a lot of Carlos's business out, but he has several businesses that he generates revenue from. So I mean, this is why like some content creators don't understand like why when Carlos does his live streams, he plays music and stuff like that, and he's not really monetizing his live streams. Is because the YouTube money is not something that he's superly dependent on. You know, his most recent thing where he's taken donations and he's taken his money that he gets from YouTube and he's invested it into buying food for the homeless people. Like, you know, he could do that. He's got the money to burn, right? So he's good, basically. It doesn't take away from his finances that he generally has to take care of. Because I don't know if y'all ever seen it, but it's happened when I've been on a live stream with Carlos. When Carlos is out of pocket, his wife checks him, and I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way because that's what a good wife does. Men, we're logical thinkers, but sometimes we don't understand how our logical thinking can impact somebody emotionally, and that's why when you have a wife that stands beside you, and you want to know if she's a good wife, she will check you so you don't make an ass out of yourself completely. My wife does it to me all the time because I'm very vocal. Like when I speak, I don't care about people's feelings because to me that's what breeds arguments. Is if you're gonna think everything emotionally, you're gonna take everything the wrong way, and then you're just gonna like lead into an argument when it didn't need to be. Like I'm a logical thinker, so I'm just gonna vocally say what I want to say. And like my dad always said, like son, you are more than likely going to have the most spectacular ass whippings of your life because I have a tendency to just speak. I don't fear anyone that breathes the same air as me and bleeds. So I will vocally say what I want to say to somebody to their face. I'm not a type of person that likes to get on this and then, come out that way. But like, if, you and I are face to face, yeah, I'm going to talk. And if I have a problem with you, I'm going to tell you what the problem is straight to your face because there's no reason to yell and argue when we're not in front of each other and we can't reach out and touch one another. There's no point to take it to that level. That's always been my mentality on things. But when we're face to face, that's a totally different thing. Because now, if words can't solve it, maybe a quick scrap can freaking solve it. Like I'm one of those dudes where it's like, if it's got to get physical, fine, let's get physical. I'm not going to call the police and snitch on you if you whoop my ass. And I hope you wouldn't call the police on me if I happen to whoop your ass. But let's just freaking beef it out until the energy is gone. And I will shake your hand afterwards. And if you want to be a homie and chill, then fine, we can be. But if you're like, we'll never be friends again, okay, I respect that. I'm that type of person. I am limited to buying my phones from my carrier since Xfinity uses proprietary firmware. Yeah, unfortunately. What is my thoughts of RFK? What do you mean? Like, what do I think about him? A lot of these guys, and I'll tell you this straight up right now, I can't give like a full detail analysis of a lot of these guys. Sneed, Carl. Well, I can Carlos because Carlos has actually physically hung out with me, but like Sneed, Ricky, um, Weasel, and any of them. I can't give you guys like exactly what I think about them because the way that I look at it, and this is no disrespect to any of these men, but and this includes me. So I'm not just saying them, but this includes me too. But people got to understand what you see on YouTube, that is like seeing the tip of the iceberg, right? The rest of me is still under the water. And these men are the same way. Sneed is not going to be 100% transparent about his personal life on YouTube. If you watch every video he's pumped out, if you watch every live stream that he's done, he may have Yasmin come on there for like a little bit and say hi to everybody, because what father wouldn't want to, show off his daughter who he's very proud of and loves very much. But he's not going to go in full detail of the things that she likes. He's not going to go into full detail of, his wife. He's not going to go into full detail of the layout of his home. He's very secure about keeping his private life private, and what he wants you guys to see, you guys can see. And the same is with anybody else at the end of the day, including me, right? Like, you don't know what lifestyle I live. You only know what I share on YouTube and on social media. But even those things only account for 10% of what my full life is all about. You know, Sometimes I will let you guys in at 20% of my life. Like if it's something that's truly breaking me down, or if I just, need a friend, I'll kind of reach out, but you'll never really get to the root of any of my full life aspects because people will use that. The one time that, I took a chance and was open about personal issues that I was having. And then you had YouTubers taking that and making up stories about my wife and making up stories about my family and stuff like that. And it hurt my kids to the core. That is the reason why that I don't go that route anymore to anybody. Is because when I saw how it affected my kids, I knew that I fucked up royally. And I'll never make that mistake again. But RFK in my book, he hasn't done anything to me, or he hasn't really projected anything to me that I would say is bad. He's a good dude. He means well. To be honest, the reason sometimes that I don't jump on his podcasts is for two reasons. One, the time that he does it doesn't allow me to because I'm currently busy. And two, I don't want to sit in someone's live stream and just sit in background quietly, because Ricky has a lot to say and he'll overtalk you in his live streams. There's not really a lot of dynamic flow. Like people that he has that are guest hosts on his podcast literally have to like try to out talk him in order to make a point to everyone that's viewing. And that's just not my cup of tea. Like I said, I'm not disrespecting him. I'm not talking shit about him. I'm not saying anything to that nature because he's a very good dude. But I'm different because my father raised me that you don't interrupt someone when they're talking. Ricky may say, hey, you know what? Shout over me if you want to get something out there. And while he may give that permission, I've been raised since I could speak. My father's always taught me that when someone speaks, you don't interrupt them. You don't overtalk them. You don't. So it's just not in my nature to try to out talk somebody. Like if you notice, like on Sneed's live stream, when I'm on there, I'll say something, when there's a window of gap, or if Sneed says, what do you think about that, Tito? But when it's like a collaborative, like, 3-4 people in there and everyone's talking and talking and talking, you guys may have noticed that when I've been on these live streams, I've been quiet mostly. Is because I don't interrupt people when they talk. I've just been raised that way. And my dad was strict because if I actually, when I was a kid, would talk over somebody, I would get popped. Like my dad would literally pop me in the back of the head, like, bah, he give me a putazo real quick because that's just the way he is. My dad, 20 years, Air Force, military life, very strict rules. And, of course, and I'm kind of glad my dad didn't do it because, if he had did it, if he had went beyond his rank, reaching an officer's rank, yeah, it would have been far stricter. Because my dad always told me the reason why he never really wanted to move up into an officer's ranking in the Air Force is because there's that level of respect. So like if like let's say like the base commander, not the base commander, let's say a lieutenant is throwing a party, right? Then as courtesy, being an officer, you have to attend, and your family has to attend. And my dad didn't want to drag us through that type of stuff. So yeah, that I agree with you there, Michael. I mean, like in Hawaii, this is how we did. This is so like I think this is probably one of the biggest things why I love Hawaii so much. Like we have the same problems as anywhere here in the mainland. We have our gangs, we have our knuckleheads, we have our drug dealers and stuff like that, and they do the same things, right? But one thing about Hawaii that I give a lot of the Hawaiians respect, not just Hawaiians, but locals that live there, right? Filipinos that live there and Japanese that live there, etc., is that when there's a disagreement, they'll go to the point of like fist fight. I mean, you could YouTube search, like Hawaii street fight and see a bunch of fights that's been recorded by somebody there with a camera phone who's like whipped out and recorded the fight, and you'll see like there's a level of respect. So two guys will square off, they'll scrap, they'll throw blows, hit each other in the face, body shots. Plus, Hawaii loves MMA, so all these guys act like MMA fighters. Some of them are actually trained. Some of them do train in MMA, and they use that on street fights. But the one thing you'll see is like if like one guy gets the other guy down and the other guy literally seems defenseless, like he's taking hits to the head, to the side of the body, he's just covered up. Um, Even though say the guy that's winning is there with his friends and the other guy has no friends with him, the guy who's winning the fight, his friends will actually go in and push him off the guy if the guy's done. Like they have that level of respect that when you're down, they're not going to take it extremely all the way and just beat you until you go to the ICU. Like if you're done and you look done, they will stop their friend from continuing to hit you. Um, Nobody will jump in if they call it. Nobody jumps in. Nobody jumps in on the fight, which means if two guys are going at it and one is losing and his best friend is getting amped up, he's not going to go in because the moment he takes a step forward, the other people, regardless if they're friends with the guy who's winning or not, they will come in and they will actually take you one on one in a fight. So if you don't want to fight, don't stick your nose in the business. Just let those two guys, duke it out. Whoever wins wins. And the final part about it is that win, lose, or draw don't matter. Once it's over, it's over. Like they will talk afterwards. They will say it's over. Like I've seen a dude who was talking to another guy's girlfriend and talking shit about him. They met up. They just started just going at it, just throwing blow for blow right there. Bam, 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 just going, going, going. About maybe like 5 minutes of the fight. And after it was all said and done, they were sitting up, because of course, when you're fist fighting, you're exerting a lot of energy, so you're going to tire out. And so they're just sitting there, they're tired, they're sweaty, they got lumps, and then they just start talking about the problem. But like they got all that negative energy out from the fist fight, they just start talking about it, and then the one guy said, apologize to the other guy. That was it. They shook hands, they walked away. And that's why, like, I have a mad, 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 mad respect for Hawaii. Like, they will not reach for weapons unless you reach for a weapon. Like, if you want, like, even the gangs there, when they rumbled, they love to rumble where it's 20 on 20. They love to do that type of stuff. But they don't like bringing, like, they're not going to bring bats, pipes, chains, and stuff like that, right? Unless the other side says no rules. When there's no rules, then yeah, you'll start seeing people show up with sticks, pipes. They'll take their freaking padlocks for their lockers and put it in a sock and tie it up, and then yeah, they'll go at it. A lot of people think I'm weird for having two phones, but I don't know why people think you were weird. It seems like today that's normalcy for people that are non-techies. I can overheat all the Pixel 7 and 7 Pros I've encountered, pre-ordered or after the fact. Let's hope the Pixel 8 is better. I mean, yeah, I want the Pixel 8 to be better, so I don't disagree with that statement. As far as like generalizing it to every Pixel 7 and 7 Pro, I can't do that. I can't say like, if I had issues with mine, I can't generalize my issues as every device. But I know what you mean. I can't say why. I don't know, and maybe I just don't use my phone the way that you use your phone too. You gotta take those things into factors too, right? Like if you're a heavy gamer and stuff like that, or just whatever it is that you're doing that overheats the phone, right? And then I gotta see if I do it exactly the same way you do it, does it overheat my phone? Because if I don't do it the same way as you do it, then I'm not putting the same stress that you are putting on your phone using it. So I can't say that it's exactly the same. So there's things in this involved here, right? Just because I say that I don't have issues with my phone doesn't mean that everybody's phone shouldn't have issues. I understand that, you know, and I consider myself lucky, but maybe I'm not lucky. Maybe it's just the way that I use my phones and maybe I don't, overly stress my phones out, or even let's not say overly stressed. Maybe I don't stress my phones out enough to get them to overheat. Because all I'm doing, if you guys want to know how I use my phones, all I'm doing all day, on my free time, is recording small clips, posting it to Instagram stories, tweeting. I'm on Hive now. I'm more active on Hive. So I've been on Hive, making new friends, interacting with people, chatting with them, and posting videos, posting photos, posting, written, type thoughts, written. I wasn't writing anything, I was typing. But that's what I do on my phones. And then I watch YouTube. Um, and any games that I play, it's games that it's like Pokemon Go. And I don't think that's a very heavy, stressful game, right? I don't. Pokemon Go would never be on the level as like Fortnite and Call of Duty and any of those games. At least that's how I feel. Um, I don't do navigation on my phone. My wife tends to do that on hers. Um, so yeah, yeah. So you already claim to be a heavy user, and I would say I'm nowhere near a heavy user. Right? Everything I just named right now, that seems pretty light compared to what other people post that they do with their phones when they're like, "Oh, I watch 4K movies on this. I you play this game for like 4 or 5 hours," and it's like, "Oh, I don't play games on my phones for an hour." The only game that I can say I can play a game for 4 or 5 hours is like Pokemon Go on the 2 days they have Go Fest. Because then, of course, I'm like traveling around my city, going to different parks and playing with other Pokemon Go players and looking for the rares, the shinies, hooking up with groups to do battles, to do 5-star battle raids or do mega raids with people and take down Pokemon and get the experience points and level up. Of course, I'm doing those things. Um, these dang birds keep knocking all these leaves out. But that's about like, as much as I do for like gaming. Now, I can tell you, I can overheat any phone in my city. I guarantee it. Any phone, from a low budget phone to the best flagship, I can overheat those phones, but it has to be at a specific time. It has to be from the month of July to the month of September, when this city is peaking 109, 110, 111, 115 on the outside. Because that happens a lot. That's why, like, during the summer months, if you hadn't noticed, it's at night that I do live streams from my mobile phones, and it's at night that I record video. Because during the day in the summer, when it's like 110 degrees outside, if I start recording a video walking around, in 10 minutes, I'm going to get that dreaded message that the Google Pixels is shutting down a lot of processes because the phone is too hot. That happens here quickly. That's why I said I can overheat any phone in this city from July to September, which is the hottest months of the year in this city. I mean, right now it's already starting to get warm. Um, so let me see what the temperature is. That can't be right. Let me update the weather app here. Now this is full of crap. So it says it's 66 degrees outside here. I can feel it from the sun. That does not feel like 66 degrees. That feels more like 77 to almost 80. Yeah, playing Genshin Impact. That's a very heavy. a very heavy game setup. So yeah, that'll overheat your phone. It's getting hot. I'll move back in the shade. And my Pixelbook Go, like right where the sun was touching on my Pixelbook Go, it got really hot. So, okay. These birds. The worst thing about living in the Southwest is the heat waves. Yes, it is. You ain't lying. You ain't lying about the heat waves. No, sir, you're not. Yeah, I can. And like today, it's gonna get warm today. Um, and then because we had the rain the other day, so the moisture is being pulled back out, so it's gonna feel a little bit like a sauna. So that air is gonna be warm and moist. Spring is back because all the bugs are starting to fly around. Yeah, if you're live streaming, if you're live streaming using a battery operated chainsaw in the hot sun, you can overheat a smartphone. Yeah. Um, if you're doing it outside, yeah, definitely. Now, if you're indoor with AC and your AC controls the temperature in your house, keeping it like at a fresh 72 degrees, you'll be fine with any smartphone. But if you're outside in this city during peak time, so I would say between 2:45 p.m. till 7 p.m. because that's where the hottest temperature sits during the day in my city. Yeah, you can overheat any phone. It depends, John. So normally in May, it really starts to peak the heat, but I've lived here since 2009, and maybe out of that time, 4 of the years that I've lived here, in that time, I've seen it already start to hit hundreds in April. Like April 3rd, it hit like 102. So it just varies. It varies on the global scale, right? Like El Nino and La Nina plays a big effect on how we get hot and whatnot. And they usually say like a lot of people here say this, if the winter is cold here, the following year's summer is going to be really hot. This year it hasn't really been cold. I mean, there's only been 3 weeks in December that it was at 48 degrees during the day, 31 at night. That was it. We never dipped into the 20s this year. Um, so I'm expecting Phoenix's summer to be moderate, about 112 to 115. Maybe like 1 or 2 days, maybe 3 days in July or August, it'll be like 119, and that's about it. You cooked your iPhone 13 Pro Max and it wasn't even triple digits. Yeah. Um, I don't know what it is. A lot of people who've grown up here in this city have, 'cause I always try to like learn more about the places that I live at. And so like several people that I've worked with that have lived here all their lives, their families are from here, generations, have told me that it's the foundation of the entire city that keeps the city hot. Like when they first built this city up from having dirt roads to having concrete roads, the type of material used as a foundation is a type that pretty much like absorbs heat but doesn't expel the heat back out. Like it slowly releases the heat. So you got a mixture of a sun and all its UV rays and all the heat from the sun plus the heat from the ground that's absorbed. And the fact that Phoenix is an old super volcano crater, right? The hot spot that is under Yellowstone National Park used to be under Phoenix like thousands of years ago. So this is like an extinct volcanic crater. That is like Phoenix is like a very complex area. I mean, just the way that it is, the layout and whatnot. And it's desert too, right? So like around this time of the year and around October, It'll be warm in the day, maybe like 90s, close to 100. But then at night, it'll be like 50 out in the desert area, in the Sonoran Desert. But yeah, in the city. And like they're trying to do this thing now. Like I know, like because I pay attention to, to city news here and state news, that will greatly impact. And they are trying to come up with a solution for downtown Phoenix, where like all the buildings are at, businesses, skyscraper type, not skyscraper because they're not as tall as skyscrapers, but you know, the large city buildings. They're trying to come up with a solution to build like a tarp that lets sunlight through so plants and stuff can grow. But this tarp is supposed to like reflect a lot of the heat. So it's supposed to keep that inner city area a little bit cooler. So if it's like 115 outside, it would feel like 103. So not something super drastic where it'll make it feel like it's 80 degrees. They're planting more trees in downtown Phoenix. They're doing a lot of stuff down there. They're really trying to combat this heat because it's expected. By the way that the planet is and whatnot, it's expected by I think 2036 that Phoenix will become uninhabitable because the heat would reach like 135 degrees, 150 degrees, and who's gonna live in that? Which is why like this city, I call it the backwards city because it's very active at night and it's very dull during the day. Even construction workers don't work the day hours. They don't work the daylight shift. They work the night shift because they work when it's not, extremely hot. I hope not. I used to get my phone locked with heat warning on the iPhone 7 and older iPhones, but now my screen just gets forced to a lower brightness. Yeah, it depends. It depends on how hot the phone gets. There is fail safes in these phones that like when it's like extremely hot, everything like your radio will shut down, right? So you won't have data connection, and things that are battery intensive are going to get put to sleep, so it's not sapping the battery. I mean, the next level for me when it comes to mobile technology that I think that a lot of companies are really going to start edging towards to separate themselves is the heat issue. And I feel like that a lot of these companies are already in works of developing some sort of intercooling system that will keep your phone cool, even though it's like really hot outside, right? So like liquid cooling or something like that. I feel like that they're kind of going towards that. I know there's some phones that already have liquid cooling in them. And I think that a lot of these other companies like, Apple and Samsung are already in the works to come up with something that's going to have like a really good cooling agent that cycles inside of your phone. So, of course, it's going to make phones, more expensive. Or they're going to add Freon to some phones. That would be funny if they did. Honestly, that would be funny if you imagine having to pull up to a service shop for your mobile phone because you needed to add Freon to your device. I don't know. They may use the same type of cooling agent that they use in PCs, right? There are PCs that have liquid cooling in there to keep them from overheating. But then again, PCs are a little bit different than phones, right? Like you can modify smartphones, you can overclock them, and they're gonna run safely. If you overclock a PC, you got to be careful how you overclock it because you can overclock it beyond its capabilities and fry the chip. I don't know if they've changed that lately with the latest hardwares in PCs, but I remember when I used to overclock my laptops and I used to overclock, my PCs, and this was probably maybe about like 8 years ago. I had, you definitely had to be careful on just how far you push the chip because you can fry it out. And I fried out chips before in the past, so. We need a heating protection for gaming in HD on a phone. The iPhone 20 will double as an ice pack. Samsung vape chamber is helping a little bit. Yeah, I know. Ricky talks a lot about. He really loves his Samsung Galaxy S23. Like you could just see it in his eyes. And when he because he does invite me. If you guys don't know it, like he always sends me an invite on Twitter when he does a podcast. And then sometimes like he wants to get me on his podcast because he wants me to talk about the Pixel 7. Um and I'm just like, I don't have the time. Now, my life is like this is my free time right now, right? In the next coming hour or so, my free time's gonna end, and I got so much things I gotta take care of. Plus, gotta look after my kids. Gotta cook them lunch, make sure they're fed well, and then I also want to hang out with them too. So I spend time with my kids. I spend time with them as a group. I spend time with them individually, and do something that they want to do. Last night my son wanted to watch Puppet Master 4 because he's scared of the earlier Puppet Master movies because the puppets are evil, right? Because Andre Toulon, um, he wasn't a very good guy. I was trying to explain that to my son because when he watched Puppet Master 4, he was like, "Why are they acting good?" And I explained to him, the puppets aren't evil. They were never evil. It's the puppet master that's evil or good. If you have someone that's good, animate the puppets and become their puppet master, then if he's a good person and he's a protector, then that's how they're going to behave. And so yeah, we watched it and he was laughing, and he got interested in it because when we went to a Hot Topic, they sell like morbid things, right? And one day they actually had, I think it was like a 2 foot tall puppet of Blade, which is the one with the black suit, hat, and white hair that has a knife for one hand and a hook for the other hand. They had him, and he looked at it, and he kind of was creeped out, but kind of wanted it. And then I told him when it was based off a movie, which I'm glad they've never tried to reboot this movie. Or at least I don't know if they ever rebooted Puppet Master, but I'm glad they're not trying to. Because could you imagine like how they would change the puppets? Like they would probably keep them looking as they do, but modernize their look, but then try to like give it a backstory, like, oh, this tech company did this and that, and no, no, no. Like I just couldn't see it. Like leave it alone. Leave Puppet Master alone. Ricky's gonna be crazy about a lot of new things that he has. I think the thing about Ricky is, you know, he's he's a very he's very adamant about the things that he likes and the things that he supports. So and he's gonna project that type of energy all the time. Um, and it's good because it gets people to interact with him. Like the thing about YouTube, right? And like I'll tell you, this is a reason why that I'll probably never hit 1 million subscribers and never hit like 10,000 people watching in a live stream at once, is because I don't have that type of energy that people, like every people, is looking for. There's an energy that I have that you guys pick up on and you guys seem to enjoy, but it doesn't mean that like millions of people are going to enjoy it. Versus a person who has that charisma and that energy, they can get millions of people to be like to follow them devoutly. Um, but that's what's needed to make your channel grow. You got to have energy and you got to have some form of charisma, something that people can relate to. Something that people can relate to. That's how you can grow steadily, slowly, like me. You know, I don't grow as fast as other people do, um, but I grow. And I'm not calling out people for doing it. I don't care if content creators go and buy subscribers, but and if anyone wants to accuse me of buying subscribers, that's going to be absolutely ridiculous. Because if I was wanting to cheat the numbers and buy subscribers, then I wouldn't be sitting at 12,000 subscribers 12 years later. Because this channel started in 2011, right? So 2021 was his 10-year anniversary. And that was in January that I started, January 2011. So yeah, we're already past the 12-year anniversary of this channel. I'm not gonna buy subscribers and only sit at 12,000, you know. So yeah. Do I have doves? We have pigeons. There's pigeons around here. I wouldn't call them doves. But yeah, you gotta have that. You gotta have that energy when it comes to YouTube. This is why, like, if I'm very busy, or if I'm not feeling it, because like, even though, like, I tell people I'm 40 years old, some people can see it. Some people are like, dude, you don't look 40 at all. But just because I don't look 40 doesn't mean that I'm not 40. And sometimes I don't have the energy. Ooh, a bee just flew by my ear. I sometimes I don't have the energy to be on a live stream, and that's the reason why my live streams have started to slow down. That's the reason why, like, most of my videos, I'm not really on camera anymore. I can vocally express things to you guys, but if I'm on camera, you're not going to see that energy from me. The live stream is just going to feel very dull and very blah, and I don't want to do that to anybody. I've done it a few times before. I've seen the results, 2 people watching, and it's just like, no. Yeah, there's pigeons around here. There's pigeons, and then because it's warmer, those finches have returned back to the city, so now they're flying all over the place. They're chirping, 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 chirp action. It's like, Boost Mobile, where you at? Yeah, it's also kind of funny too, because I've been getting some comments, like, somebody commented on an old video, not super old, maybe like several months old, and they wanted to inform me that Boost Infinite was postpaid. I'm not an asshole that's going to put the person on spot and say, yeah, I already knew it, you're way too late, type of thing, but I just agree with them on it. But I just find it funny. What's up, Sneed? I just find it funny because, like, they want to help, right? They're not being disingenuous. They're not trying to just be like, I know more than you. Trust me, like, my videos have comments held. If you guys didn't know, all comments are held for review, and it's not strict. It's so, like, you can put like, oh, great video. It's not gonna hold your comment. Your comment's gonna automatically post, right? But if you post something that needs a review, YouTube holds it. I got to do it because I've had my wife attacked. I've had my kids attacked in comments, and yeah, they get bad. Like these people, whatever their channel profile is, that I know is fake. Like, they go in there, they go hard, they go bad, and you guys don't ever see it because of that reason. I have them held. So that way I can review the comment, and then I could just ban the account, delete the comment, get it off my channel. It's sad to have to do that. And that's also discouraging too, because that just makes people just feel like why the hell do I want to keep doing this? Why do I want to put my family in a line of fire for some idiots that just want to have fun at the expense of them, right? Like, they've done a lot. Yeah, therapy can help them, or sex, whatever it can be. They need a hug. I don't really care. But I mean, that's why I hold them, is because they won't get seen. Like, I'll see them and I'll delete them. And the reason why is, like, my kids watch my videos, they watch my live streams. Like, they have their YouTube channels, and it sucks too, because, like, I know they really, really want me to do a live stream with them on their channels, and it's like, I'm not gonna do it because I don't want these idiots to find their channel and then start messing with them. Um, yeah, I'll never forget. Like, I put a hole in the wall like that. That's how mad I was. When it was said out there that supposedly Carlos messed with my wife and that's what happened or whatever, whatnot. They were putting that stupid story out, and I was like, what the, But my daughter saw it, my oldest daughter, because she was in the room crying, and I got so pissed and I hit the wall and put a hole in it. So it was stupid because, like, the wall don't hit back, but I just had so much hate and anger that I just had to unload it. And that one punch glad the wall than somebody innocent that it probably would have wrecked. They probably would have got wrecked. My dad always makes fun of me because, like, I do have anger issues. Like, you guys may not know this, but I can go from 0 to 1,000 in like 0.2 seconds. I have a very bad anger problem, and my dad used to call me he used to call me a fighting chihuahua because I'm short. I'm 5'4", 5'4". Right now I lost some weight. I'm like down to like 162 from being 171. So, but yeah, I rush into things before asking questions. So I'm stupid like that. I know that. That was messed up. It was. That's why everything's set up the way that it is, and so I don't really have to deal with it. That's why like the chat is set up to where you got to be a subscriber, and each live stream I make it different on the amount of days required to be a subscriber. So like someone that just subscribed to me yesterday that may be watching this live stream is not able to comment because they haven't met the requirements of the amount of days you have to be subscribed. Sometimes I do it by the hour. Like you have to be like 5 hours subscribed and you can chat. But I hate having to do stuff like that because I want anyone who comes across the live stream to just be able to chat in and not just only keep it to those that are subscribed. But it's stupid I have to do that. And like this is the reason why that before Google Plus went down, this is why YouTube and Google had that thing where you had to have a Google Plus profile in order to have a YouTube channel, which didn't make sense to me just because to have a Google Plus profile, you don't need an ID, you don't need to verify yourself. So you could have like said, you were Homie the Clown and built a profile on Google Plus and then built a channel on that and then go troll people. Like, yeah, it was back then when Alex and Carlos were beefing. It was Alex and his people that were throwing it around, or whatever accounts they were controlling, or whoever they say it is. It was within their group. Because Alex has never been shy to say anything bad about me. Like he's always, on his live streams when he was angry and he was talking about Carlos back then, and then he would go and he would talk about me and the way I dress and what I have, what I don't have, and how he has money and all this other stuff or whatever. Like he would always do that. And if people didn't notice, the reason I never went to defend myself is because what's the point? What's the point of getting on a live and arguing with somebody, or going on a live and talking shit about them over a live? They're not face to face with me. I can't touch them. So I'm not going to yell about it, and I'm not going to address it. There was a few times that they did get under my skin, and I did come vocal on a live stream about it. But like I never really wanted to get into back and forth with them because it wasn't going to go nowhere. Today I'm happy that they're all getting along. I'm happy that they're on each other's live streams and collaborating and doing all kinds of stuff. Like I'm happy for that. I really am. I'm just reserved about a lot of things, so I keep to myself. So I'm in my own little corner. It doesn't mean that I don't want to work with anybody. It doesn't mean I don't want to hang out with anybody. It's just I keep to myself. So like I said, I'll be in Sneed's live stream. If I have something to say that's worth saying, I'll chat in. If I don't have anything to say on the subject, I'll just shut up and listen, and I'm watching. Same with Carlos. Carlos does his live streams where he's driving around testing, or he's driving around feeding the homeless, or he's at the casinos. I'm watching. I'm just not saying anything. The tech community, everybody knows everybody, right? They may not hang out with everybody. They may not jump on a live stream together with everybody, but everybody knows everybody. So I know who's connected with who, and I just really keep to myself nowadays. That's why I don't do a lot of live streams where I want to invite guests on or anything like that, Like Latrell's doing his own thing. He doesn't really have that much time. B-Tech Review and I were doing something different. He's building a podcast to talk about wrestling because we both like watching wrestling. So we're going to start doing that. I know we're doing a predictions live stream. Well, we should be doing a predictions live stream on the 31st of March, and then doing a watch party on the 1st and 2nd. So we'll be watching WrestleMania and being on a live podcast as it's going down. And since it's a new channel and stuff like that, we're not monetizing anything or none of that stuff. We're not doing that. We're just wanting to have fun and talk about wrestling, whether it's WWE, AEW, Impact, New Japan Pro, or any of the indie scenes. I mean, if you're watching his videos and watching his live streams, John, go in his live streams and chat. Like, Sneed's live streams and the stuff he does on YouTube is very inclusive. He's not one of those creators that's exclusive. Like he doesn't just want to work with just only a specific type of people. He will work with anybody. And if you have a YouTube channel yourself and you'd like him to be a guest on it, just give him an advance and ask him to come on. He'll come on with you. Or if it's a topic you want to talk about, but maybe you want to use his platform with his audience to get the word out about what you want to talk about, just let him know, like, hey, I'd like to go live with you. And this is what I want to talk about. And he will set up a time to do it. And he will do a live stream and he will bring you on. Sneed is a very, very, very collaborative creator. This is the reason that I took to his channel years back. And like I always tell people this, I regret at the time that when JG Tech Blog was trying to get Sneed going and trying to get him exposed to a lot of people, when he messaged that, hey, there's this really cool guy that I think you would work well with on a collaboration. And at that time I was burnt out of YouTube. I should have just like said, you know what, fuck it, let's do it. And jumped on a live and worked with Sneed way back then because, you know, JG put him on. And JG Tech Blog, he's a good dude. He's a very good dude. When he had that beef with Tech Right, I mean, I don't know why they asked me to mediate it, but I was on the call with both of them, and I'm glad they resolved it. But you know, when JG felt like he was being attacked, I felt bad because, like, you know, he's not that type of guy. I do miss him making videos and stuff like that, you know, but obviously, like, I mean, I follow JG Tech Blog on Facebook, and he's got a lot of things going for him, including traveling. I love watching, you know, the places that he goes to and he travels, and he just shares a lot of that, you know, on his social platforms. So, but yeah. And, you know, JG did that for Sneed, and Sneed is doing that for other people now. It don't matter who you are. You can only have one subscriber on your channel. But if you want to jump on his live, he'll bring you on his live and he'll introduce you to his community to get you going. So that way you start to build within the community for yourself. Like he does that. So I have mad respect for him. You know, there's not a lot of content creators that would do that. That was probably one of the earliest problems back in like 2000 was it 2015, 2000, or around that time when I was first starting out, and you know, I was probably maybe at like 3,000 subscribers. There weren't a lot of creators that wanted to collaborate to help somebody else come up. Like, you know, the story that Technoid shared with us about, you know, one of the guys that he looked up to on YouTube, El Jefe? He looked up to him about reviews for, you know, like audio buds and headphones and things like that, and wanted to collaborate with him. And the dude just like totally dismissed him, not even wanting to know what Technoid was about. Like he didn't do his research. He didn't say, like, when Technoid reached out, like, hey, I want to do a collab with you. He didn't say like, oh, you know, let me get back at you and then go online and look up for Technoid's channel and see what type of content he was posting. Like he'd like to just literally dismissed him. And I think it was on a live stream that he dismissed Technoid. So that's like even more humiliating, you know? So I can understand why Technoid had a lot of anger towards El Jefe reviews and why like he just doesn't support that guy's channel anymore. I mean, if someone did that to me coming up, yeah, dude, you're freaking exiled. I will continue fighting to grow, and when I reach where I want to be at and continue my flow of growth, you know, like I'm not going to look back and say, hey, I want to collaborate with this guy, see if I can do it now. Like, nah, you had your chance. You know, there's those rare moments where you find people that, like, you may think that they bring nothing of value to the table, and then you could be absolutely wrong, because then 2, 3, 4 years of, you know, struggling and clawing and eking your way through all of it, and then you look back at their channel and you're like, whoa, they've grown, and they've grown their own community, and they have things going for them. You know, you end up being that jackass that totally dismissed them, right? Like my thing on here, and that's the other reason why I never participated in the beef as far as like getting on group stuff and talking about it. is because like when it came to Alex, like I really wanted his channel to grow. And at the time that the beef happened, I was in that mindset that I wanted to give him as much tips as I knew about YouTube to help him, whether he used them or not, but to help him grow as a creator. But then all the fighting happened, and it was just like, oh, too late. Like my thing has always been wanting to help other people grow. I used to do this on the channel. I don't do it anymore because I felt like it wasn't helping a lot of the creators. But I used to do what I call the YouTuber spotlight. And I used to do like a 3 to 5 minute video about somebody's channel, new upcoming creator, what type of videos they're making, because I would watch their videos and what did they bring to the table type thing. And I would want more people to see those and say, hey, that's kind of like what I'm looking for, in an interesting creator, and follow, subscribe to them. I stopped doing it because they weren't pulling in views at all. And that was the whole point. Was like that, like those spotlight videos, I wanted them to have more views than my tech content. Right? And my tech content was making like 100 views after like a day or two being up. Then I wanted the YouTuber spotlights to be like a 500 views in a day or two after being up. I wanted them to get exposure for people to find them, subscribe to them, and whatnot. So, yeah, my thing has always been talking about tech, finding new tech YouTubers, and pushing them to more people, because the algorithm is just a freaking joke. The YouTube algorithm is so bad. It has handled YouTube so poorly over years. And you have a lot of people that were making good content that just did not want to put up with the algorithm and just stopped, walked away from it all. Yeah, Technoid, he is so if I had to rank him in my top 10, he's at top 3. He's number 3. I love Technoid's his passion for video editing and content creating is just amazing. If I had to rank him on just creativity amongst my top 10, he's number 1. Like, I get so amped when Technoid goes and says, "Hey, I got an interesting intro coming out," like his special edition intros. I get amped up for it because it's insane what he can do. Um, the Family Matters and the Power Rangers and the Doctor Who are my favorites. But then, like, I even told Techno, like, he posted a tweet. He posted a tweet a couple of days ago, and it was a screenshot of a comment from somebody that was trying to be a troll. And I told him in there, and I genuinely meant this. I meant this for Technoid. I said in my reply to him, because he has all these interesting characters that he portrays, and obviously he knows how to use a green screen, and he knows how to edit to double himself in a shot and make it look like it's two people, and keep the values and the size and everything realistic. I told him that, I know it's going to take a lot of time, effort, and a lot of energy, but he could build a second channel on a miniseries based on his characters, like Lugnuts. He can, that's one character. He can create other characters that he can play as and create a miniseries. I told him like a 5-minute video skit of just something, because Technoid's got he's got a damn good sense of humor. I mean, and like the support that he's shown me is like overwhelming. Like I know a lot of you guys show support too. Every time Google releases a new Pixel, if it's not dropped that I've been selected to join the class of Team Pixel, some of you guys have been vocal about it, and I always appreciate that. And Technoid stays vocal about it. I mean, the last live stream I watched that he did with Sneed, and they mentioned my name a little bit of ways in the live stream, and he mentioned that because of his hashtag Tito for Team Pixel. Like, that's Technoid's. That's his hashtag, and he uses it because he's pushing for it. And I get it, like previous videos in the past where I've covered Google Pixel phones, I've been very adamant about them because I enjoy using them. Like, I enjoy using them. That's the reason why I have that type of energy when I make these videos about them, is because I'm not a reviewer that's like, I'm going to use a Google Pixel 7. And then as soon as I make my review video for you guys, I put it away. Like I have a lot of phones and I enjoy using them, right? Like right now, none of the Pixels are in my setup right now. Well, no, take that back. Pixel 2 XL is in my setup right now. It's on my Boost 1 prepaid line. I'm using the Pixel 2 XL. But like I cycle amongst my phones of what I feel like using. It's like weird. I've developed this bad habit of using phones like you would come up with ensembles to wear or outfits to wear, right? So like one day I feel like using a Google Pixel 7, so I will throw. I try to keep my main SIM in a phone for a lot longer. So like my main line, which is my Boost Infinite line, that's family and friends text me and call me on that. That's on my Moto G stylus. Um, the Boost One prepaid line, that SIM jumps from phone to phone to phone because I don't even use a phone number to text people. Like on that phone, mostly duo calls and Google Chat is how I communicate with people on it. And then this one has the Boost Legacy. My Galaxy A53 right now has the Boost Legacy. So, and I don't really use that number either. That one is like freaking Instagram chat, Google Chat. So, hey, Tom, what's up? So, I mean, that's, that's the phones I use right now. But tomorrow I might feel like using my Pixel 6. And so I'll throw the Boost One SIM card in the Pixel 6 and use it. But yeah, that's why Technoid is like very vocal about Team Pixel. Like I think, like I'm not, like best way I can say this, because it did catch me off guard. Like I'm a logical thinker, but I do have emotions and feelings. And when Technoid actually said it on video, that he was annoyed and pissed with Google because the Team Pixel people were announcing on Twitter that they were invited to Team Pixel, and he was mad that I wasn't chosen, and he went vocal. He went deep on Google. And on that day, like I got choked up. Because like when you like in the past, right? Way back, I want to say around 2017, like I genuinely really wanted to be part of Team Pixel. I really did. As I thought that, the energy I brought and the way that I used the Pixel phones and the things I could tell people about it, like was going to be helpful. It's going to be beneficial. It's going to be, to be honest today, I don't care. I really don't care if they ever invite me or they don't, right? Like I said, when the Pixel 8 drops, I'm not going to pre-order it. I'll have the money. If I wanted to pre-order it, I could, but I'm just scared that I'm going to get like a defective unit. So, but the date that it releases at Best Buy and other places, I am going to walk in with that money and buy it. I will buy it, and yeah, I am interactive with Google Pixel _US on Twitter, which is their official Twitter account, and I'm also active with them on Instagram. Like they comment on my photos a lot on Instagram and on Twitter, and yeah, and then the Pixel Superfan community, I'm a part of it. I'm not very active in it because of one thing, and I don't mean any disrespect to a lot of them in there, but there are people that are in there that are just in there to genuinely complain like it's some form of tech support. And Pixel Superfans group on Facebook is not tech support. It's supposed to be a place where people share their experience with Pixel products and whatnot, or they can genuinely get help from the community. But what you got people going there talking about, they're just literally trashing the phones, and it's like, why are you here? Why is the ghetto bird out? Oh no, it's the medical bird. So there must be um, medevacing somebody from an area to the hospital, because there's a hospital not far from here. They got a helipad where they can land and get somebody to the emergency room. Hopefully they're okay. It's St. Patty's Day, so I know people are going to be drinking like hell. And please tell me, like, any of you guys in here that is of drinking age, or if you have family that like lets you drink underage, I don't care. But please tell me that you guys are set to have like an Uber driver, a Lyft driver, taxi, or something, a friend, family, house pet that knows how to operate a vehicle, but somebody to drive your ass home tonight because I want you guys to be around next week and the week after. I don't want to hear that somebody was, in a bad accident, because there's going to be people. And if you got to go, even if you don't drink, just please be a defensive driver tonight and not an offensive driver, because there's going to be a lot of drunk drivers. Like here, I'm glad my wife gets off at 6 o'clock in the evening, because that's when people are going to start going out to go to the bars and drink. And so she's going to get home. But I already told her we have everything we need for dinner. So when she gets home, we don't need to go out and get anything else. We're not going to be driving around, because there's going to be a lot of drunk drivers here. And Phoenix already has bad drivers as it is. Already. People make poor decisions. Last night, my wife was pissed because somebody almost hit our car. She was in the turning lane, the right turning lane to go on from well, I'm not going to say the streets, but from one street to the street that she needed to go on. And there was a car in the lane next to her that was supposed to be going straight, but because he didn't pay attention to what street he was coming up on, he was supposed to turn right also. So what happened was, as she's making her right turn, he decides to make a right turn too and nearly collides with her, because the street they were turning right on only has 2 lanes of traffic going in opposite directions. So one going north, one going south. And so he almost collided with her on that right turn. And she was pissed. My wife is one of those road rage drivers. She will yell at the windshield. Her and the windshield have gotten in so many arguments. I think they've already surpassed the arguments she and I have had. Here in Phoenix is do not drive, like during the weekend time and festivities, do not drive after 7 p.m. here in this city. Because there are a lot of drunks out. Because there's especially with today's generation, they like to pregame. So they meet up at somebody's house. They start getting ready. They got the bottle of tequila on the table, and they start taking shots. And then when it's time to go out, they're already buzzed. So when they hit the club or they hit the bar, they're already buzzed. And when they're drinking there, now they're freaking hammered. It's that type of thing. Yeah, no, they start early here. They start way early here. And there's like me, I told my wife one time, because she was just like, when one of her friends invites us to their kid's birthday party, she's like, how come you don't go? And I'm like, because it's not a party. And at least this is how it is in my city and with the culture here. But it's a party for kids. They'll get like what they call the brinca brinca, which is like a bounce castle. They'll get that. They'll get a birthday cake. They'll get a piñata with candy inside of it. But then all around the yard, you'll see kegs of beer for the adults. Adults drinking at a kid's birthday. If I drink, it is only one swallow, barely enough to taste the flavor of the drink. Me and alcohol don't mix. I really can't drink anymore because I'm type 2 diabetic, but I used to drink heavy when I was in my 20s. My fun drink is gin, right? If you give me a mixed drink with gin or just gin straight, and you're in a mood to die laughing, that's where you'll get me being the stupidest, silliest person I am. And, people who know me very well know that I love to make people laugh. So, yeah. If you want to see me fight anybody, whether win, lose, or draw, but if you want to see me fight anybody, you give me not brown tequila, but clear tequila. You give me clear tequila, that's my Hulk drink. That just gets me amped to just fight anybody. I learned this because when I was 19. So back in Hawaii, me and my friends, we went camping for 3 days at Bellows, which is a beach right by the Air Force Base on the north side of the island. And we had a camp and everything set up. We got food. We had cases of beer. And so my friend Michael, he brought a bottle of clear tequila. And I drank shots after shots. It's smoother, right? I don't know. With me, clear drinks are more smoother than brown, right? So drinking Bacardi, and plus I mixed that night too, because he also bought a bottle of Bacardi 151 and he was mixing that with Dr. Pepper. And so I was taking shots of tequila. I was drinking those big 32-ounce cups of Dr. Pepper mixed with Captain Morgan. I was slamming those down, and then I was slamming down I think I finished a case and a half of beer. I literally was wondering how the hell I drank all that. That's freaking alcohol poisoning level. I don't remember nothing that happened. I think after the point that because we made some barbecue skewers, so we had like some teriyaki beef on skewers, and we were cooking on an open fire. After snacking on those, I don't remember shit that happened afterwards. But I was up for another 5 hours, and Michael was like that. I was trying to get with. So there's another guy that was with us who's pretty cool. His name was Iggy. Well, that's what everyone known him as. And his sister was there, right? His sister was like 18, and he was protective of his sister. But like Michael was like, bro, like you kissed her, and y'all made out, and Iggy was mad about it. And then you got up after hanging out with her. You got up, and then you went, and there was like another campsite that had a bunch of military dudes just camping, enjoying a good time. And he was like, you were trying to fight all of them. Like you walked up to their campsite talking shit, and you were trying to fight all of them. Yeah, that was my lowest drinking story that I can share with you guys. I was an absolute stupid fool off alcohol. And I'm glad that Michael and them were there to try and control me. Because like that, I found out something happened because he kind of had a bruise right here. In the moment that he was trying to hold me back, I had elbowed him like right here in the side. Um, but yeah, he was like, those guys got up from around their campfire, and they were walking towards me like I had said enough stuff about them to just be like, yo, we're gonna take you on your challenge, you idiot. Is really what they were. Yeah. Epilepsy, anticonvulsants, medications do not mix. Got you. Yeah, you don't want to drink and take any medication. But yeah, that was my stupidest points. I have a lot of stupidest points. I know. Shout out to my brother. He's way over in Florida right now. Um, because his grandson is his birthday's coming up, and my brother always makes it apparent to save all his money up around this time of the year. So every March, I know he's going to be in Florida because his grandson. He's always going to be there for his grandson's birthday. I think this year he saved up enough money to take his grandson and the family. So like his daughter, um, his grandson's father, his ex-wife. Like he's taking her and her husband. Like they're all going to. I think it was Disney World, right? Disneyland's in California, right? Michael, you live in California. I always get the two mixed up. But he's taking them to Disney out there. And I think it's Disney World that's out there. Disneyland is in California. But they're going there. And yeah. So, but when he likes to live in the past quite a bit. So, like, I really can't keep a lot of that, like, a lot of the shenanigans that he and I got into. I really can't keep that a secret because he'll tell anybody. I really don't care. It doesn't really bother me or offend me when he tells his coworkers about it, like the crazy stuff that we did. Um, but yeah, he holds like a lot of those memories like near and dear, right? Um, and like my dad's always amazed because he and I like he's my brother. We're not brother by blood, but he's my brother. Um, we have been friends for 32 years, somewhere around there. 30, like anywhere between I think it's like 29 to 31 years. We've been friends. Um, I was really hard to come by to have a friend, and like we've always for some reason ended up living in the same city together. We'll live in different cities at a time. Um, I remember when I was living in Texas, he was living in Virginia, but then he took a Greyhound from Texas and moved all the way to where I was living in Texas from Virginia, and he moved and he stayed with me for a while, and then we moved from there. We moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico for a while. Then he went back to Hawaii, and I stayed in Santa Fe. And then I moved from Santa Fe to Phoenix, and he left Hawaii, came here. Then he moved in with his friend in California, in Victorville, and then came back to Phoenix and has been since living here. Yep, thanks for clearing that up because I always get them mixed. Disney World, Orlando, Florida. Disneyland, Anaheim. Gotcha. Yeah, so we've been through a lot. We've been locked up in juvie together. Um, we've been jumped together. Yeah, we've gotten in a lot of fights together. Like there's just yeah. So
And my dad always gets amazed because he's like, because my dad, to be honest, my dad didn't really like my brother Ruben in the earlier stages of our friendships because we were always getting in trouble together. My dad respects him and likes him now because being friends for that long as loyalty, right? As I'm loyal to him as a friend, he gives the same gesture back. We're never, it's never unbalanced. The equal amount of energy I put into our friendship is the same he puts in, you know? So that's why I call him my brother. And it's sad in my family tree just because me and Ruben are closer like brothers than me and my actual brother. Like my brother Raphael and I, like, because we grew up and I was rarely around. Like, you know, my dad divorced my mom. My dad had a new family. You know, he remarried. He had kids with my stepmom, and they seemed like just a close knit family. And like I wasn't allowed. I'm not saying that that's what they wanted. That's just how it felt. By like, you know, they would do things, and you know, I'm to blame to it because I had too much pride. I never wanted to tell my dad like, yeah, I wanted to go on vacation with you guys, you know. So they automatically assumed because I already had bad blood between me and my stepmom of the fights that my stepmom and my sister got into, they automatically assumed like I didn't want nothing to do with them. So they would not invite me on family vacations where I absolutely wanted to be a part of it. Like me and my stepmom, we get along now. I buried the hatchet with her. Like it was never really her fault on anything, you know? It was my dad. And the reason why I say that, and the reason I'm going into that, if you guys want to know, it's not a big deal. It's not a private story, but um, my stepmom, well, at least this is what pissed me off about it. My stepmom picked up the habit of smoking cigarettes. And her and my sister used to sneak into the backyard of where we were living, and they would smoke cigarettes. My sister was, I think, like 16 or 17. So she was almost an adult, but my stepmom would basically share cigarettes with her. And the deal was like my sister would get cigarettes, and no one would tell my dad that my stepmom started smoking. And you know, like my stepmom's an honest lady. You know, she's not deceitful. That's not her lifestyle. So of course she was gonna get caught by my dad. She didn't know how to hide a carton of cigarettes. She hid it under the bathroom sink, and my dad found it. And he, you know, him and my stepmom got into a small argument because my dad, he's like, if people say CM Punk is the definition of straight edge, then that would be my dad. My dad is straight edge. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke cigarettes or smoke cigars. He doesn't do any type of tobacco products or anything like that. Like, if you want to say that there was a drug that he did, it would be caffeine because he drank soda. That's it. He didn't do anything else. He's very straight edge. And he didn't like the fact that my stepmom was picking up that habit because my mother, my biological mother, picked up that habit. And my dad didn't like it. And so he didn't want my stepmom to go through it. And my dad found out that my older sister knew about my stepmom smoking cigarettes. But my dad's mentality in anger, because he's a lot like me, we get mad zero to 1,000 in 0.2 seconds. His brain was telling him because he knew my sister smoked cigarettes for a while. Like she started smoking at the age of 12. No, sorry, 13. I started smoking cigarettes at the age of 10 because I wanted to be cool like my sister. Yeah, so since my sister smoked cigarettes before my stepmom, my dad kind of took it in a, like, the way that he presented it to my sister made my sister feel like my dad was blaming her, like she was the one that got my stepmom turned on to cigarettes. And I heard the arguments and fights, and when I heard that, like, I took my anger on the wrong person because of course, when you don't hear the full story of the arguments and stuff like that, you just hear certain like climactic points, you automatically start making your own assumptions. And I made my assumptions that she blamed my sister, you know, because there was already tension between me and my sister, my dad and my stepmom and their kids. There's already tension. And it wasn't their fault. It was never their fault. That's why I buried the hatchet with my stepmom, because for years I had to think about everything that went down with my family for years. And I realized it was me. It was me and my prideful way of thinking and my stupidity that I felt like I thought I knew the damn world, and I gave off the art like who is going to invite somebody to a family vacation if that person gives out the energy I don't want to be around you, right? Because then if you don't want to be around, then you don't want to be around. Yet inside of my stupid persona I was projecting to them, because I was trying to project to my dad, my stepmom, and them that I didn't need love and I didn't care, you know. When deep down inside, I just wanted my dad to love me the way he loved my little brother. And I had to tell myself, you know what? Like my dad did love me the way that he loved my little brother, because he was that way with me when I was at the time of my brother's age. My dad loved me the same way. It's just my dad didn't know how to show me that he loved me when I was being a knucklehead, you know? I wouldn't give him the opportunity, even though there were glimpses of it. Like when I got locked up for the kidnapping charge in Hawaii, I think I've explained that in a past video, but if you want to know the reason for that, drop a comment and I'll explain why I got that charge at the age of 16. But yeah. So when I got charged with that, and the charges got reduced, but I got charged with that. I ended up going to HYCF, Honolulu Correctional Facility, and I had to wait. I had to wait for trial because we there were certain things that happened. Do you want to know the story? I am from Hawaii. Yes, I am. And okay, I'll explain the story. Some of you guys already heard this story. So, all right. So at school, like I was one of the known people in my school that you didn't mess with. You know, like people just knew already that I wasn't I wasn't hanging out with the popular crowd because they annoyed me. Like I didn't like people who were uppity about themselves. But anyways, also I was a guy who would always have cigarettes on campus because the Safeway across the street from the school I went to, they used to keep the cigarettes in the cigarette case, like right before, like at the checkout aisle, but before you go in the aisle where they have the candies at, they used to have them there. They never have them locked up. So I used to like walk into the store and I would go and I'd be like, oh, I got to tie my shoe. And I get down and as I'm tying my shoe, I grab a couple of packs from the very bottom rack and stuff it into my sock and then finish tying my shoe and then let the pants leg. Cause we used to wear those baggy Jinko jeans or Menace pants, like those really huge, you can fit two bodies in each pants leg. So I was wearing that type of stuff back then, and Ben Davis shirts and uh, FUBU and all that. But anyways, so I grabbed like 4 packs. 2 I'd keep for myself. 2 I would sell in school for $5 a piece. Um, and when I went back to school later on that day, there was this kid. Always wanted to hang out with the cool people. Always wanted to get involved. Just never really knew when to shut his mouth or get out of the conversation. He just wanted to be accepted. And I know he's seen me sell a pack of cigarettes to this one girl that was in my home ec class. I took home economics. I know how to sew, use a sewing machine, and bake and cook and all that stuff. And so she wanted a pack, so I sold her a pack of cigarettes for $5. And I know he had to have seen it. But anyways, out of my science class, I get pulled and called to the vice principal's office, and the vice principal and I, we didn't get along. She hated my guts, like she really wanted to get rid of me. And she calls me in. There's campus security there. They searched my pockets. They found one of my pack of cigarettes, the one I opened. The other one was still in my sock, and they didn't they couldn't like pat your legs down or anything. They can only just go through your pockets. They took that away, and then they told me that, and this is where I felt the school was at fault. They told me the kid that irritated me, that he had told them I was selling drugs on campus. No, this is when I was 16. Like I said earlier, like the charge that I was charged at 16 years old for kidnapping. But I'm gonna get into that. So, anyways, So they were like, yeah, you were told we were told by that kid that you were selling drugs on campus, and I'm like, search my locker and everything. I don't have drugs. That's all I had was cigarettes. So they were like, okay, you know what, 3 day suspension, whatnot. So I told a friend of mine, Brock. I told him about it, and he had problems with that kid. And there were two other, like, I forgot their names. I know one of the kids' name was Andy, very skinny, nerdy kid that hung out with Brock, because Brock was part of the skater clique in my school. So a lot of the military kids, that were like non-locals. So they weren't Hawaiian, they weren't Filipino, Japanese, Asian, Korean, Vietnamese. They weren't any of those races. There were Black Americans, white Americans, and Hispanics. And so, anyways, so I was like, okay, Andy's like, do you want me to kick their ass for you? This is where I've become stupid. I'm like, yeah, you can kick his ass. Go for it, because I can't get in any more trouble. He's like, okay, after school, right? So like where my school was at, the gym field that's at the back of the school, when you go past the gym field, there's a stairs that goes up into a neighborhood just behind my school, which is actually a military housing neighborhood. And you walk through there to get to a place called Nimitz Highway where the city bus comes. I used to go up that way because right after school, I would go from the school straight to Pearl Ridge Mall that's in Aiea. And I would go meet up with friends that went to other schools. So I was going up that way anyways. And the kid goes up that way because he takes a bus that goes in the same route that I was going. But his bus turns off to go to Hickam Air Force Base. And so we were all going up that way. And Andy's like, I'll fight him at the bus stop. There's a ditch. I'll get him down there. I'm going to kick his ass. I'm like, cool. So we're walking. I make the dumb mistake. I see that kid. I had a Butterfinger in my pocket. And I go up to him and I tell him, like, you're going to fucking walk with us. Like, now. And he's like looking at me, and already his eyes are big as owls. And I'm like, I was telling him, like, you make a fucking scene and I'm going to smash your face right now. That's exactly what I said to him. I remember it. And he's just like, don't hurt me. And I'm like, let's go. I had the Butterfinger to his hip. So he thought it was a weapon. Got him up the stairs, through the neighborhood, because I know there was military police that patrols that neighborhood, and that's why I didn't want him to make a scene. We get all the way to the bus stop. We go down the ditch area because it's like a 30-minute wait till the bus actually comes. And him and that kid, Andy, fight. Someone's car's in the alleyway and they're playing music. Anyways, so him and Andy, Andy's like punching him in the face and stuff like that. The kid ain't doing nothing. He's not a fighter like that. He's not aggressive. And then Brock gets involved because Brock wants to see Andy like really beat up this kid. Because like it was like maybe like a 2-minute fight, and I had told Andy to stop. Like like he had enough. What about selling soda because of caffeine? But yeah, like he had enough. And so I told Andy, like, all right, power ready. Power is like the Hawaiian word for like done, finished. So I was like, I told him, I was like, Andy, power ready, it's done. So Andy stopped, but Brock wanted it to keep going. So Brock was like, nah, he ain't had enough yet. He's like, then Brock starts bringing up, I guess, an interaction that him and that kid had in the bathroom. The kid wanted to buy a joint from Brock because Brock was the weed dealer on campus. And so Brock tells Andy to continue on, and Andy starts kicking the kid in the side of his leg and pushing him to the ground, starts kicking him in the back. And while he's doing that, Brock walks up with a cigarette and burns the kid on the arm with a lit cigarette. Okay. So while they're doing that, I walked away. Not being a good person, I should have just stepped in and stopped it. I should have punched Andy in his face because if I hit Andy, he would have hit the ground fast. He's a very, very scrawny person. The wind could blow him away. But I left. I went back up from the ditch. I went to go talk to this one girl that I knew, and then we jumped on the bus and I left. I ditched school the next day because my mom had flown in. My mom had flown in from Washington State to come visit me and my sister, my biological mom. So my mom rented a hotel in Waikiki. So I ditched school the next day, and I went and stayed at my mom's hotel. And the following day, there was a roadblock in the vicinity of where my school was at. HPD was looking for somebody, and I didn't know they were looking for me. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, damn, this traffic's going to take forever. So I was like, screw it. I'm not going to go to the mall because I was leaving Waikiki and I was heading towards Pearl Ridge Mall to meet up with my friends. And by the time when I got to Nimitz Highway, where my school was at, that whole area had a roadblock, and PD was looking through vehicles and jumping on city buses. And I was like, I walked up to the driver, and the driver's pretty cool. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get off here. So he opened the door, he let me off, and I walked. From there. It took about an hour and a half for me to walk to get home to my dad's house. The following day, because my dad had said that police had showed up to our house looking for me. I was like, okay. He's like, what'd you do? Whatever. So, I told my dad, like, the Honolulu Police Department knows me by first name basis because I had gotten so much shit on that island. So the next day, I'm heading to school. I get to school. I guess the school notifies PD that on the attendance I was there. So they were coming to get me, but I had court that day because my dad was like, he dropped me off at 6 a.m. School started at 8. And my dad was like, at 10:45, I need you to be ready because we have family court because of your truancies from school. So I'm like, okay. So at about like 10:15, I left my class because I showed him I had court that day, so I had to go. So he put it down. I left, but the office had already called PD to pick me up because the attendant said that I was there from homeroom. So PD pulls up by the office. They see me because they already know what I look like. They see me. I didn't notice them because I see my dad's car parked in the front parking lot in front of the school. I was trying to get to my dad's car. So they see me running. I guess they hopped out their vehicles to chase me. But by the time they even cleared where the office was and turned that goes down the hall between A and B building, I was already in my dad's car. We already took off. So PD thought I was trying to evade them. Went to court. My probation officer, like the bitch that she is, her recommendation is always, I want to lock him up in HYCF until he turns 18. Like, damn, I remember her name too. She's probably not a bitch now. So, and I don't think she'll ever see this video, but her name was Ramona Yano. She was hella mean. But yeah, the judge was like giving me break after break after break. He's just like, he looks at me and he tells me, he's like, we're getting kind of tired of seeing your name on the docket list. I'm kind of tired of seeing you in my courtroom. He's like, what are we going to do? And I would give him the bullshit, excuse speech. Like, I'm going to do better because I don't want to be in court. Because, I want to hang out with this girl that I liked at the time. And I wanted to hang out with my friends. I wanted to go surfing. I wanted to go spearfishing. Like, fuck the law. I didn't want to be around it. That was my thing back then. And so I left court. My dad's like, well, there's no sense of you going back to school because it's already like 1 p.m. You guys finished school at 2:45, so I'm just going to take you home. Like, you want something to eat? Sorry, I do a very bad impression of my dad. But I'm like, yeah. So my dad takes me to my Burger King. I get a Whopper, go home, go to my room, eat. The next day I go to school. They're already there waiting for me. Because I see like a bunch of police in the parking lot. I'm like, okay, this is different. And I see a detective's car. Unmarked cars, what they look like. Detectives are rolling in that. I didn't think nothing of it. I go to homeroom, finish homeroom, go. That day, it had alternate. So a 6-5-4-3-2. So I went to 6th period first. Went there. Campus security got me. He says, oh, yeah, they're calling you in the office. I get to the office. There's 2 detectives and 5 police officers in there. They take me into custody. They're like, okay. I get all the way down to downtown Honolulu to the police precinct. I go in. They put me in a room. And the detectives are like fucking assholes. They're fucking assholes because they come straight in and they're like, I'm like, okay, what did I do? I literally told them, like, what do I do? And they get pissed off at me because they're like, you know what you fucking did. Like, no, I don't. I already went to court yesterday. I didn't fucking miss court. So why are you guys bringing me here? They're like, you want to come out with your story or you're just going to sit there and act like a jackass? And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, dude, fucking tell me what I did. Like, tell me what you're accusing me of. So the bigger heavyset detective, he's like, fuck this kid. And he told the officer to put me in one of the other holding cells. They threw me in there and they left me in there for 6 hours. And they take me back out after 6 hours and they bring me back to an interview room. And then he's like, so do you want to come out? What's going on? I'm like, you tell me what I did. If you give me something that says, hey, this is why you've been picked up, I'll tell you my side. He's like, You guys beat up a kid. And he mentioned the kid's name. And I'm like, oh, okay, you want the whole spiel? So I ran down the whole thing. What I did, why I did it, why these things happen. And I stopped at the point where I was just like, yes, I coerced Andy, this scrawny kid, to assault him. That's where I stopped at. And he kind of looked at me. He's like, I'll give you one more chance to change your story and tell the truth, or I'm going to make sure that your ass gets locked up and continues on in OCCC, which is the adult prison. I'm just like, what the? I'm like, that is the truth. So he throws on the table sworn statements signed by Andy and by Brock that puts me not only as a person that, took the guy from campus to the bus stop, but coerced Andy to beat him up for 2 minutes and then coerced him again to beating him up for another 7 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck? They beat him up for 7 more minutes? Like, what the hell's wrong with them? And then I was also named as the person who burnt them with lit cigarettes. Like, Brock and Andy had laid all of it on me and labeled themselves as innocent. So the detective was like, okay, you know what? Well, you're going to have arraignment tomorrow. So we're going to get you over to HYCF. And they'll be transporting you tomorrow afternoon for court just for your arraignment. And the detective was such a dick about it. He's like, you're not going to plead your case there, and you're not going to walk out. You're going to stay locked up. I'm going to make sure you're going to stay locked up. I'm going to make sure they don't release you to the custody of your father. You're going to stay in HYCF until we get this matter resolved. And I was like, just fucking take me already. Plus two, and like I found out later, the reason why that detective was such a dick to me was because when me and Ruben, we robbed some dude in Waikiki when we were runaways from home. We robbed some dude for his wallet or whatever, and it was a cop that caught me. And so he caught me. He didn't put me in handcuffs, stupid of him. He was just like, he was going to take me back to the police station. I was going to get charged, booked in, and then my dad would have to come pick me up. And then, he was just like, he wanted to stop, forever it was, but I know he was going to talk to some lady because he was like, I got to pull in here. I'm going to crack the window so you get some air so it's not hot. He's like, stay put. He jumps out, he goes, he walks over to this lady in the parking lot, talks to her. The window was like this much gapped. I can fit through it. So I got out. I got out of the cop vehicle. I ran. He didn't catch me for another 7 hours later. And he was pissed when he caught me. HYCF, Honolulu Youth Correctional Facility. So that is a juvenile jail, like not a juvenile detention center. It's exactly like, state jail just for juveniles. So anyways, yeah, that's why that. So that officer was the younger brother of the detective who was like doing the case. So that's probably why he was being a dick to me, because I got his brother in deep shit. I escaped out of a police vehicle. Anyways, so yeah, they take me to HYCF to hold me there. And as they're building their case, right? When they took me to the arraignment, of course, I pled not guilty. And my lawyer, my dad got me a lawyer. I told the lawyer the story. I told him what happened. He was just like, so you were responsible for the earlier things, not for the cigarette burn or for the continued assault. I was like, yeah, because I had left. Like I had told Andy that it was done. He was finished. He got his butt whooped for talking shit, whatever. So he's like, okay. He's like, these are the charges that they're bringing to you. He's like, because you put a butterfinger to the hip of this kid, the state of Hawaii is charging you for kidnapping. That's how I got that charge. Is because I had forcibly taken somebody to an area that they did not want to go. I mean, he was going in the same direction, but he couldn't just freely walk away from us. So I got that charge. My probation officer, lovely Miss Ramona Yano, I'm sure her face lit up like Christmas when she was like, this fucking kid got kidnapping? It's like, yes, I'm going to lock his ass up. So anyways, I was locked up for like 3 months. That was probably like the worst day ever because the first day you get to HYCF, there's the gladiator mode. So like everyone who's been locked up in that facility, like you'll know if somebody from your high school is like, yeah, I've been to HYCF, or I call it HYCF. Its real slang name in the state of Hawaii is called Ko'olau, which is the name of the area that the facility sits at. But you'll know if someone's really been there and when they're just bullshitting you. Because if they've really been there, then they would know about gladiator mode when you first get in there. Because the day that you get into your pod, you are challenged by the freaking the pod bosses. You're challenged by all of them. They'll come up to you, and the guards, the staff, they don't care. They walk up to you and they will test your balls right then and there on the spot. Like as soon as I walked in, there was a kid. He went by the name of Diamond. I don't know why his parents named him that. He is I think he was like 5'11", like 195 pounds, big old Samoan kid. He just came across from like the tables that have like they have those generic ass metal tables that have like in the center of the table it has like a chessboard that you can play either chess or checkers on. He comes running across and just bam, when he hit me here, this swole up like that. Like my eye nearly almost swole shut. When I felt that hit, I just swung at anything that moved for like 3 minutes. And in 3 minutes, everything calmed down. But I was already busted up. Like I had lumps here, lumps all over here. There was a Vietnamese guy in there. He was with Asian boys. They were Crips. And he comes up and he's like, he asked me my name. He asked me, where I'm from. But he found out because, he was just like, you kind of look Asian, but you kind of don't. And I was like, I'm half. My mom's Thai. And like, so he was like, oh shit, so trying to recruit more people for the Asian side. He's like, he tells the pod officer that I'm going to bunk in his room. And in his room, there's 3 other Asian guys. And so he brings me in the room and he's just like, yo, you're going to be here. You're going to chill, whatever, whatnot. I'm like, cool. Okay, whatever. Spent 3 months like that. This is how I know, going back to the previous statement before the story started, but this is how I know that my dad tried to show me that he loved me, even though like I wasn't giving him grounds to show me that. But like for the 3 months I was locked up in HYCF, every visitation on Saturday and Sunday, my dad would come. Every visitation, he would come. And when he came, my dad, because I don't know why they didn't search them, but they didn't search my dad. So in his coat, he would have a cheeseburger from McDonald's. Tucked in his belt loop, he would stash a couple of candy bars so I can have outside food. My dad literally put his freedom on the jeopardy, because if you're a parent during visitation and you get caught bringing in contraband, you catch a charge. That can be anywhere to a $5,000 fine to 60 days in jail. Yeah. I turned my life around when I started seeing how stupid things were getting. And I started seeing like how bad my life was going to be. Like, I'll be honest with everybody. I never kept this a secret from anybody on the channel. I'm not a rich guy. I don't have a fancy house and I don't have a fancy car. My bank account is less than $1,000 in it, saved, because me and my wife, we live check to check. But I don't look at this as a disgusting life, as a poor man's life. I am very grateful to have this life. If something comes along that puts me in a better position in life to provide more for my family, I would, of course, definitely take it to take care of my kids. But I wouldn't look down on anyone who is living the exact life that I'm living, because, I really would have been dead probably in my early 20s. Right. When I lived in Texas, I started dabbling with a lot of wrong people, a lot of, my ex-wife was good friends with a lot of Sureños, so I was hanging out with them. There was other guys from a clique called Barrio Triste, and I was hanging out with them. And I remember one day we got into a really big fight at a gas station because there was another group of Mexicans that had beef with the people I was hanging out with. And I remember the 2 guys' names that pulled a gun on me. And one fired off a shot that whizzed by me. One was Lisandro, and what the hell was the other one's name? fuck, I forget the other guy's name. I know Lisandro because he's the one that nearly hit me in the head with the bullet. But we pull up to a gas station that's kind of like adjacent from their hood to the rival's hood, and they're there pumping the gas too. And we get out and they see us. We're walking in. We're about to put money for gas and grab some drinks. One guy starts talking. One of the other homies starts talking. They go back and forth. This guy starts talking to that guy. That guy starts talking shit to that guy. Lisandro hops out of his car. He's driving a lowrider, right? Like his car and my car at the time were similar because I had an 85 Impala. I had an 85 Impala, and my other friend Alex, it's kind of crazy. I have two guys that are named Alex that were close to me that died. One from Texas, one from here in Phoenix. It's crazy. Anyways, so Alex is a homie. Like he had like a bunch of Daytons that he didn't use, so he put them on my Impala because we were like starting our own car club. And so Lisandro hops out of his, and he's got something by the hip, but I can't really see it because he's got it nicely palmed. Now, it doesn't matter that, it was a very small handgun. I think it was like a 22. So it would have wrecked damage. But anyways, he hops out the car. He starts talking, and then all of a sudden the fight breaks out. And like I'm with these dudes, I gotta show heart. That's the way I'm thinking about it back then. I'm not thinking about like, wait a minute, I'm not even part of their gang. Like I'm not even, part of it. Like why am I getting myself into it? Like I was just like, I didn't want to get jumped into their gang, but I wanted to be like, that outside homie that comes around and hangs out with them. Stupid. And so I started throwing hands at people, and we were just in this big fight. And all of a sudden, you just start hearing rounds pop off. And when I came off one dude that I had socked, and he had hit the ground, and I got on top of him, and I just went cocked back to fist and just caught him dead right here. And I seen he was already out because his eyes kind of rolled back for a second. As soon as he was asleep, I got off, and when I turned, pow, shot came by. Like it rung the hell out of my ear. Like if you think you can't hear a bullet whiz by your head, you can hear a bullet whiz by your head. You can hear the sound and everything. Almost got me. From that, and then of course, there was a dude. I'm not gonna say his name. I'm not gonna say where he's from. I'm just gonna say, yeah, he was cool. He was a cool friend. He took me under his wing when I had nowhere to go, and he'd let me crash at his house. He would feed me during the daytime. He had a business, and I was trying to help him with that, to make some money. But then I started selling coke, and I had my method of doing it. I'm not gonna share it because I don't want no one to take my method and try to do it for themselves or whatever. But yeah, I started selling drugs. And when it got to that point and I was starting to get paranoid of driving around the city, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I really thought to myself that day, like, if I got busted, because I had some on me. I was with another friend of mine. We drove to another city. He went to go see a girl that he was kind of messing around with. He was married, but he had like a side chick. And then so we went to go hang out with her. We left. We were heading back home. He was driving like 105 on the interstate. And I kept telling him, slow down, because I was carrying. My pockets was full. And I wouldn't consider it low-level dealing because I wasn't just dealing on the streets. My clientele was wealthy people in New Mexico. And I just thought to myself, like, damn, if I get busted for this and I go down, like, what's my dad gonna think? Because into my late 20s, I really wanted my dad to be proud of me because my younger brother was doing good. He was going to graduate high school. He was going to go to college. And, I was just like, my dad gave me his name. Like my legal first name is my dad's name. And I'm like, damn, I just want my dad to be proud of me. Still till today, I just want my dad to be proud of me. And, I was just like, he's never going to be proud of me with this type of charge on me. Like when does Tito stop being a dumbass and grow the fuck up and start, So I left New Mexico. I came out here because I came to hang out with a friend. Our birthdays were 9 days apart. So we were gonna celebrate our birthdays together and just chill and hang out with friends. And we ended up falling for each other. I ended up staying, in her place. We had a child together. My oldest daughter was our first kid, and after that, another one and another one. And when I had my daughter, she's probably the biggest impact. When I had my oldest daughter, the first time I held her and everything, it was just like, dude, I gotta be around for her. I'm not gonna be one of these guys that ends up going in and out of jail, not being in her life. Like I want to be there every step of the way. I have never been away from my daughter since she was born. Never. Like never left for like a year, never went to jail and I'm happy I didn't, knock on wood. I'm glad I never did. I never want to. I never want to leave her side because especially now, now that she's going through puberty, it's a pain in the ass. Um, I want to be there for her when she needs me. Me and my oldest daughter have a very, very open topic, like open discussions. Nothing is taboo between me and her. She can ask me anything, and I will talk to her about it because I want her to know. And like I'm hoping and praying that this type of bond that she and I have will allow her to stay on the straight and narrow until she is 18. Like one of the things I've emphasized to her, I've emphasized that if she ever decided to give up her virginity to her boyfriend, it would break my heart if she got pregnant. And I told her like sometimes you guys might be in the heat of passion. Like I told her, I don't want her to go out there and lose her virtue before, she's 18 and doing her own thing. But I told her, like, I know it's a possibility it could happen. I'm not delusional to think that my daughter would never do that because I would be the guy that finds out your daughter's pregnant. But anyways, but I told her, if you decide, okay, you love your boyfriend that much and you're going to do this thing with him, I told her, just please make him use a condom. Please make him use a condom. Please tell your mom. You guys don't have to tell me, but your mom can take you to get birth control. I just don't want her to have any children until she's experienced the world. And I told her, like, when you turn 18, before you go to college, like if she gets a job at 16 and saves her money, whatever she has in the bank saved up to go travel the world, I will match it half. But of course, there's specific not states, but like countries and cities I don't want her to go to alone. But like, if she wanted to go to Spain, if she wanted to go to Japan, if she wanted to go to Thailand, that's fine. I just want her to see the world, to be cultured. So then that way, because I feel like the people who have been to different places on this planet, seen and met different people and immersed themselves in different cultures are more calmer because they can understand people because they've experienced multi different cultures. Hey, it is true. Shut up. Anyways, I feel like that, it makes for people getting along much easier because you can get along with a lot of people. You understand their mentality and the way that they think. That's how I look at all of it. But yeah, me and my daughter, we have an open policy talk. Talk to me about anything. Um, my youngest daughter is about to start hitting her phase of going into puberty. So the youngest of all is 8 years old. A is my son. And yeah, so my second oldest will be 18 this year. He's 17 now. And my oldest is 18. He'll be 19 this year. You have like 8 or 9 kids that you don't even take care of because you left the nest. Shut up. Anyways, yeah, so that's a little bit of like my backstory. Yeah, my kids are the main reason that I've gone on the straight. And like, it's not something I'm proud of. That's why I don't broadcast those stories. Like, I don't want to tell everybody those stories all the time. It's not something I'm proud of. because I remember what hit home for me on like knowing that my dad loved me very much was when my stepmom decided to tell me that my dad used to stay up late at night when I was a teenager. When I was out there getting in trouble with Ruben and we were going just all over the place and whatnot. But my dad had to go to work. He at that time he was retired from the Air Force and he was working civil service. So he was still working on Hickam Air Force Base, but he wasn't, active duty. And my dad, he worked for hazardous material, right? He was a hazmat worker. He had to be up at 5 in the morning. He had to be at work by 7 a.m. and he would get off work at 4. And my stepmom told me that my dad used to wait up for me at night, and that's why she was always frustrated with me because sometimes, I would get home like I would like take the last bus from Ala Moana Shopping Center that went all the way to Salt Lake. Because there is a Salt Lake in on Oahu. Okay, it's not Salt Lake City like Utah. It's just called Salt Lake. But the town that I lived at was right next to it called Aliamanu. That's where I lived at, which is right next to Foster Village, and right by AMR, which is military base housing. And she told me that I used to get the last bus would leave Ala Moana like at 12:15 a.m. and it would get to Salt Lake area by 1:20, and then I would walk from there to get home, which was like another half hour. So about almost 2 in the morning, I'd get home. My dad would stay up. He would stay up until 2 a.m. waiting for me to tap the glass so he can get up, walk over to the front door from his bedroom, open the door to let me in. When I heard that, I don't know if my dad took it like the reason why I stopped coming home if I was staying out late. Because sometimes I wanted to be home. Sometimes I would just be like, I tell my friends, yo, I'm gonna dip it out. I'm not feeling it today. Go home, get home to my house, go to my bedroom. My dad gave me my own cable box in my room. That's how you also know I'm 40 years old. We had cable boxes. And I had my own for my TV in my room that my dad gave me. And he had subscriptions to HBO and stuff. I would go home, I'd turn on HBO, and I'd watch some HBO programming from like 8 o'clock at night. My girlfriend would call me at about 9. I'd stay on the phone with her until about 11. She'd go to bed to go to school, and I would go to bed. But like on the nights that I knew I was going to be out past 10 o'clock at night, I would just like give my dad a quick phone call, just say, hey, just sleep. Because I felt bad that, my dad was staying up till like 2 in the morning waiting for me and then going to work at 7, which is like, he got up at 6. So that's only 4 hours of sleep. And he was like dealing with hazardous material. But I think my dad looked at it that the reason why I didn't want to come home is because I didn't want to be a part of the family. So, yeah. But yeah, that's that. Um, yeah. So a lot of the stuff, a lot of the divide between me and my stepmom and her kids is because of me, not because of her. And I'm glad today that we all get along. Like my stepmom, she adores my kids. Like every time I take them to go see my dad and her, she spoils my oldest daughter. Like last time we went to go see her, she gave my daughter I think the bag cost like the purse cost like a couple of $100s. I forgot what brand. I want to say Gucci, but I don't, or it's Gucci or Chanel. Some one of those brands. I don't know purse brands. But she gave it. My stepmom bought it, but she never used it. And so she gave it to my daughter. My daughter's like, I'm going to show my friends at school. And I'm looking at her like, no, you ain't. And I took that bag. That bag is up in my closet. I told her she'll get it when she shows me she's responsible. Because I don't want her, her friends at school to try to steal it from her or any of that stuff. So, um, but yeah, every time I go there, then my stepmom wants to give them all $100 each. She wants to take them out to dinner. She planned once that she wanted to take them to go to freaking Six Flags. Like, she adores them and they adore her very much. And they adore my dad a lot. My youngest daughter tells me that she likes going to see her grandpa because she feels safe at his house. Because my dad, he has, you know how women have a resting bitch face? My dad has a resting asshole face. Like kids look at him and they think that he's like the evil neighbor on the block. But my dad is the most friendliest guy when it comes to kids. He enjoys having kids around. Um, so when like my younger sister and brother, when they were young kids, my dad would never be like, we're not having a big birthday party for them. No, because he even did it for me. For me and my sister, we had big birthday parties. Like he would create a birthday party, get all the stuff for it, and then he would like send out invitations to the entire neighborhood. There were kids at my birthday party when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old that I didn't even know my dad invited them over. So my dad's like Santa Claus. You know, kids don't bother him. They can be loud as hell. They can scream. They can be totally obnoxious. My dad's not bothered. You will never see his face flinch. You'll never see him make a face towards a kid like, shut up. Now that I don't get from my dad. If you got a kid that screams, whiny, spoiled, like I will make a face at you. Say, hey, control your kid. My dad's not like that. My dad used to tell me that when I was like a year old and I would throw a temper tantrum, he'd just let me cry for for however long I wanted to cry. He would put me on the couch. He would make sure that I was safe, that I wasn't going to roll off the couch, and he would sit next to me, and I could kick my legs and. Ah! My dad can still focus on watching TV. He'd watch Married with Children without a problem. No, my dad did have the whooping on me when I was young. So, oh, my dad doesn't get mad at me for this. When I was a young kid, my dad had a nice belt, nice brown leather belt that he bought in Florida, thick as hell. And this is back in like freaking 1986, 1987. So you know the quality of that leather belt is badass and just spectacular. It's not like today where they want to like fill in 90% of fake shit and like 10% of real. When I did things wrong, majorly wrong, um, yeah, I would get an ass whipping with the belt. I only got into one fist fight with my dad, and I learned very fast that he was way stronger than me. I was 14. I was 14. Like I said, I was a troublemaker, knucklehead. I got into so many fights in my adolescent years and knocked out guys bigger than me. I used to walk around as a dumbass because, like, in Hawaii, in Waikiki, there is a fight that happens periodically. Usually, maybe like 8 or 9 guys on each side. It's locals versus military because the locals, they would take their chicks, they would go to the bar in Waikiki and have fun, have drinks, have laughs, and the military guys would leave the base and go to Waikiki and go to the bars to drink and pick up women. And that's how it always happens. Women, always a problem in those fights. The military guy will go to a girl and she might be interested in him and then try to fake it off to her boyfriend that he was being like this with her and she was innocent. Or they might genuinely tell the military guy who's like drunk off his ass, I got a boyfriend, and he just won't leave her alone. And so then words get exchanged. Of course, they're not going to destroy the bar that they're at. So they head to the beach area, Kapiolani Beach Park, a place called Walls, very famous for these locals versus military. And this shit goes down royally weird. The military guys will grab other military dudes from different bars to build a bigger group. And the locals will run around finding every local people at the local hangout spots. Where I used to chill at in Waikiki with my friends was on the corner of Seaside and Kalakaua Avenue. So they'll run by there and, yo, military locals gonna scrap. We'd get up and we'd follow. We'd get there and have a huge crowd and just kind of like the movie, one of my favorite movies, The Outsiders, at the end, a rumble just like that. And we would just brawl. So I've knocked out some real big dudes. I thought I could take my dad one day. I remember me and my dad got into an argument. It's because I was smoking cigarettes in my room, and like I wouldn't clean up my room, right? So like I had like my dirty laundry on the floor. I didn't want to pick it up, being a fucking lazy idiot. And my dad was like, if you want to live like a pig, I'm gonna treat you like a pig. And he took a screwdriver and took my front door, not front door, like my room door. He took it off the hinge, so now anyone could walk down the hallway and look right into my room. And he's just like, and I got pissed off and was talking shit to him, and he was yelling at me back. And then I made the mistake I told my dad to F off, and I gave him the bird. And my dad came into the room really fast. He got me by the neck, and he just, like a Hulk, one arm, I swear to God, one arm. And at that time, I weighed like 132 pounds. Grabbed me by the throat and boom, put me up against the wall and just unloaded. I only got 2 hits. I hit him twice. One in the body, like I hooked the body, and I hit him in the side of the face. And I think that made it more worse because he unloaded on me for a minute. His about 60-second, I don't know how many combinations. I lost count after I took the first body shot and lost all the air in my lungs. But that 60 seconds of getting, pounded by my dad with fists to the body. He didn't hit me in the face, but to the body. That was far worse than the time that I got jumped for 5 minutes because a friend of mine was selling weed, and he was stupid, and he brought his whole pencil box of different bags of weed to these guys that we didn't trust. And he was like, here, pick whatever sack you want. And so he handed the box over to them, and then they started to walk away from them while 2 other guys was guarding the guy that had the pencil box, and they were going to jump him. So he lost $1,000 in product. He was fronted that to start selling for a well-known dealer on the island by the name of Dar. And that dude, he's known to make people disappear. So I went with them to go try to get it back, and it was a setup. A bunch of guys from Laliha came down in like 3 vehicles, jumped out with bats, hockey sticks, and other kind of shit they had. And they were going to jump me and my friend. And I got left behind, and I ended up getting jumped. So, yeah. My dad's beating was worse than that. But my dad, I pushed him to his breaking point. I don't want people to think that my dad was an abusive person. He wasn't. I have pushed my dad to his breaking point. And my dad has a short fuse like me. But when it comes to his kids, my dad can make his fuse longer. But there's still only a limit to how long that fuse can be before. So yeah. I love my dad very much. I love him very much. I don't know what I would do if he wasn't around physically anymore. I'll probably save that for another live stream to talk about, because that's a very long story. But yeah. Anyways, I heard that my kiddos are wanting to make lunch right now. It's 1 in the afternoon. They slept in, but now they got to sleep early because they only got 2 days left, and then they're back to school. So anyways, thanks for watching this live broadcast. If you wanted to know about the vulnerabilities of like the Exynos modem, go all the way to the very beginning of this live stream. I talk about it there. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out and listening with me. All of you guys are in here, and yeah, that's my crazy past life. But that's why I say this one last thing before I go. Just because you don't see the beast in me, and I'm taking this from like those stupid ass TikToks and Instagram reels, but just because you don't see the beast doesn't mean that the beast is dead. It just means that I have tamed my beast. Push the right buttons, and you can let the old me back out. So yeah. Anyways, take it easy. As always, aloha. Be good out there. Drink responsibly and get home safely. Seriously, I love you guys very much.